What's up, San Diego?
This is San Diego sports. The wins, the losses, the moments that matter, and the opinions that come with them.
Padres have clinched the playoffs in back-to-back seasons for the first time since 05 and 06.
No hype. And local on 97.3 The Fan.
This is fun. We're doing this for fun. This is fun. Have fun. Enjoy the fun with us having fun.
Now, here's Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Monday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, we got a lot to talk about today in the Padres world. We got some other sports to talk about. Round of 32 has started in the World Cup. And by the way, San Diego's been near the top of the leaderboard when it comes to viewership of the World Cup. So you guys have obviously been locked in on all the matchups. We will talk more about that later on in the show. Coming up on Wednesday will be Team USA. They will be taking on Bosnia-Herzegovina in their round of 32 matchup. We've only had one of those so far in the World Cup. It was South Africa falling to Canada in the first round. So we will keep you updated on that as the week goes. Should be a fun week this week for us. We're going to be all over the place for multiple reasons. We will be on today and tomorrow. Wednesday, we have Padres baseball. And then Thursday, since the boys are in Chicago and flying home, we will have the morning show on Thursday. But this series against Chicago is more important than what happened over the weekend. This series against Chicago is more important than whatever happened over the weekend. It was that way going into the weekend. It was going to be that way going into today, regardless if the Padres took 2 out of 3, lost 2 out of 3, swept or got swept. It didn't matter. Now, here's the thing. I get irritated watching the Padres just as much as a lot of you guys do. Maybe not to the point where I'm DMing people about it, but I digress on that. I will say this about this weekend. The Padres did exactly what Frank and I thought they would do. They would get a win. You probably were going to lose the series against LA. Now, that's not something fun to look forward to, and you never know what's going to happen, but the Dodgers are better than the Padres. They're just better. So you really can't get that upset when a team that's better wins. They're supposed to. I don't care about any of the injuries or what have you for either team. The Dodgers are better than the Padres right now. And here's what I think a lot of people need to really realize when it comes to the Padres and the baseball season. And look, I get it. You want to beat the Dodgers more than anybody else. I understand that. It's a rivalry, right? It's annoying having to sit there and listen to Dodger fans while your team doesn't do very well. I'm sure the people that went on Friday loved the game that they went to on Friday. But in the grand scheme of things, unless you're right there for the division, which, by the way, you are not, and you really haven't been for the last, I don't know how many years it's been, even prior to this year's to the current ownership group, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. In the grand scheme of things of math, it doesn't matter. This team and baseball is about math. You needed to go 4-2 on the homestand. You did. Going 4-2 on the homestand, not homestead. That'd be a little bit different. You'd be seeing some farmer Padres, if you will. Going 4-2 on the homestand is equivalent to taking 2 out of 3 from both teams. I mean, I would love to know why you would think it would be the most important series of all time when the one against the Cubs is way more important. Look at the standings. You lost the game in the standings to a team you're already trailing by, 8 or 9 games going into the weekend? That's not, at that point, you're playing for a wild card. You have been playing for a wild card for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. That's who you are. If the Padres are in any other division, they're probably in a playoff race, but they're not. They're in the division that has the Dodgers. They're 10 games back now. That doesn't matter. You're 5 games back of a wild card spot. That's what does matter. And losing 2 out of 3, yeah, that kind of sucks. This week against the Cubs is way more important. Why? Because you're currently a half game out of a wild card spot behind a team you already lost the season series to, and you're 2 games behind Chicago, who you're playing this week. That game matters more. This series matters more. We said it last week. It doesn't change the fact that we went into the weekend and they lost 2 out of 3. They got the 1 win they needed. This is the series that's important. And right now, if they want to do exactly what they did last year in terms of entering July with the same record, they have to win the first 2 games against Chicago. That's if you want to do that. If you split, you're going to be like, 1 game, 2 games back from what you were last year at this time? And last year they won 90 games. Again, it's a full 162-game season. Now, that being said, if you look at the 2 Padres-Dodgers series, Padres dominated in 1 game, got their ass kicked in another, and lost in a close one in the 3rd. That's kind of been where we've been at in these 2 series against the Dodgers. Now, the first series against the Dodgers, that domination was more to Michael King because he shut him out. That was that. Pitched really well the first time through. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but he was like the big difference in why they beat LA the first time through. This weekend, you got to see the Padres do well against a guy like Roki Sasaki, who was ended up crying in the dugout after the game, after his outing. They did what did we say on Friday, Frank? That was the game that you thought you matched up well against. You had Walker Buehler, who's been your best pitcher in the last 2 months, going against Roki Sasaki, who had not been very good. That was expected, was it not? I think that was somewhat expected. And they won, 7-2, whatever it was? Then you get to Saturday. What did we say about Saturday's game? Probably not one you're going to win. Not with the way Randy Vásquez has been pitching, and not with the way that Yamamoto's been pitching. And guess what? That game was close until you made a mistake. And that's, what did we talk about the last time the Padres played this team? One mistake leads to issues, because when you make a mistake against LA, they capitalize on it. When the Dodgers made a mistake, I'm not necessarily sure the Padres took advantage of it every single time. The Dodgers do. That's why they're really good. That's why they're the best team in the National League. That's why they're the best team in all of Major League Baseball. That's why they've won the World Series the last 2 years. And then you get to Sunday. Now, Sunday, again, the Dodgers did what they needed to do in the situation. The game's tied at 1. They're going against Michael King, right? And what did they do? They took advantage of mistakes. Both series against LA, Padres' mistakes got turned into an avalanche of problems. So the only kind of good news out of it, they're fixable mistakes, but you can't walk people. I don't know how many times I've said this throughout the year. You can't walk people. And the big inning for LA yesterday, where they scored 3 runs in the 5th, because that's a close game. You're tied at 1 going into the 5th inning. Do I need to recap the 5th inning for everybody? I think I shall. The 5th inning was just flat out unacceptable performance. Alex Freeland walks to lead off the inning. That doesn't end out well. Too much for Padres pitching. You cannot walk people. You cannot walk people to start an inning. I don't know how many times I have to look back and finer detail, but it just seemed like when the Padres walk guys to lead off innings against LA, they were likely scoring. When the Padres walked the leadoff innings, they'd get him to second base and be punch out, punch out. But this is what I'm talking about. This is the Dodgers are good, but this is what they do better than everybody else. You ready for this sequence? Bottom of the order. Alex Freeland walks. Chucky Robinson bunts to get him over. He lines out. Okay, so that didn't work out for him. Top of the order, Shohei Ohtani walks. He's not swinging out of his shoes. He's not trying to hit a 4-run or a grand slam with one guy on base. He's not trying to do too much. You know what he does? He walks. Andy Pages comes up. He gets hit. Now you got the bases loaded with one out. And you got Freddie Freeman up. And when you want to compare the difference between LA and San Diego, you could talk about the money. You could talk about the talent. You could talk whatever you want. This is what the Dodgers do better than everybody else. Freddie Freeman comes up. He's one of their stars. He's batting, third of the day, right? He's the 3-hitter for the Dodgers. He's won World Series. He's been MVP. The guy is one of the best players in Major League Baseball. And you know what he does? Does he go up there swinging out of his shoes to try to just have the big blast, have the big moment? What does Freddie Freeman do? He grinds out an at bat, he works a walk, and he passes the baton to the next guy. Now, say what you want about the Rodolfo Duran should have challenged that pitch. I mean, in my opinion, in terms of situational understanding, even if that pitch that Michael King threw on the ball 4 was completely out of the zone, nowhere close, I think it's worth a challenge if you got 2 just for the situation. You could have stolen a strikeout. Rodolfo Duran addressed that after the game. He's like, I got to be better with that. That's fine. Okay. I'm not going to get on him for why didn't you challenge that? It's hindsight's different. He's got a different angle. He doesn't have a box he's looking at. And that thing was borderline. Was it a strike? I think it was worth the challenge. But the bigger picture here in this inning, the Dodgers worked walks. They passed the baton. They moved the line along. So walk, you gave up a run on a walk, a hit by a pitch, and a walk. Are you kidding me? The Dodgers had to work those counts. I get that. They did the good thing of actually following an offense and putting together a good approach. This is the difference between them and everybody else. This is what they do. This is what I think a lot of fans have wanted the Padres to do. Selfless at-bat after at-bat after at-bat. That is such a pain in the ass to deal with as a pitching staff. So instead of Freddie Freeman trying to swing out of his shoes and punching out with the bases loaded and one out, or instead of him rolling over on a ground ball, swinging at a pitch he shouldn't be swinging at, instead of doing anything that we've seen the Padres do, you know what he does? He works a great at-bat, and he walks, and he passes along to Mookie Betts. Then Mookie Betts comes up. And Mookie Betts works 4 pitches. On the 4th pitch, he gets a fastball over the heart of the plate because, I don't know, Freddie Freeman just saw 1,000 pitches in his at-bat before, so Michael King's pitch count's going up. He locates just too much over the heart of the plate, and Mookie Betts hits it into the gap, and it scores 2, and those walks hurt. The Dodgers made it hurt, and they got off to the 4-1 lead. And I give you credit. The Padres had opportunities yesterday. They were able to chip away at it in the 6th inning, made it 4-2. They had the tying run at the plate multiple times, but when the Dodgers needed to get that hit, when the Dodgers needed to go up to the plate as a team, they executed, and the Padres failed to do so. The Padres made more mistakes this weekend than LA did. That's why LA leaves with 2 wins and the Padres don't. So, yes, they are better than the Padres. Talent-wise, they are. They got more depth than San Diego. They can afford to make more mistakes. But the thing that they do better than everybody else is they take care of the little things on top of the talent. They don't have guys that are, trying to do too much. And you know what? I think that helps when you're surrounded by players that are very, very good. I think if you took this lineup that the Padres had, you took any of these players, Fernando, any of the struggling players, Xander, Manny, Jackson Merrill, okay? Those are the ones that are getting, criticized the most on social media. If you take any one of those guys and you surround them by all-stars through and through, I bet you they're probably passing the baton a little bit more. So there are some built-in reasons why the Dodgers are able to do it, but they executed. The Padres did not execute in those situations. Now, Saturday's game was rough because it just kind of spiraled out of control, but it was the same kind of thing. Mistake. It was simple as a Will Wagner error at second base, spiraled out of control. And then on Sunday, walk, hit by a pitch, walk. I mean, you're just at that point, you're giving them runs. You can't have that. And you can't have that in bigger games. So for me, this series again is about how do you handle playing in big games in big settings. You get that atmosphere, you get that opportunity. In terms of the standings, aside from the fact that you're a half game out of the wild card right now, it doesn't really matter because you're competing in the wild card more than you are in the division. The series against Chicago is vastly more important than the series against LA. The series against LA is like for personal bragging rights for fans right now. Until you get within 5 games, it doesn't really matter. It's not a measuring stick. It's not let's see how we do against these guys. It's not that. The series against LA needs to be like every other series. The only thing you get out of it is you get some playoff kind of level atmosphere at the game. I don't view this weekend as a catastrophic failure. I don't view this weekend as the end-all, be-all. I said it going into the series this weekend. Did we not say this? I said this all week. It doesn't really matter where you're at right now. It's not a measuring stick game series. It's not. It doesn't give you any extra points in the standings by taking 2 out of 3. Would have been nice. Yeah, it'd been great to go 5-1. You went 4-2. You move on to Chicago, and then you got to figure out what you're going to do this weekend against LA. But again, you're 10 games back now. You are now almost rooting for the Dodgers to beat up on the rest of the National League to give you an opportunity in the wild card. The series against Chicago this week is way more important than what happened over the weekend. So I thought the Padres played well on Friday. I thought they battled but made too many mistakes on Sunday. And Saturday, the game got away from them very fast. But like being super mad that they lost to the Dodgers, it's not going to do anything. I mean, if you want to let it out, you spew it out and let it out on the show, fine. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. But I view this entire situation, it's the same thing getting repeated all the time. And this is the difference between people that tell you about problems and people that find solutions. The entire time in the last 2 months, we have heard the same thing over and over again. Yeah, they are problems. A lot of these problems are being worked on as much as they can, but the solutions are not cut the entire team and find 26 new players. That's just nonsense. So until they get to the trade deadline and we see what kind of team this is, it just kind of falls on deaf ears saying the same thing over and over again of this team hasn't been able to hit. These starting pitchers continue to be bad. We can't keep doing this. Nothing's going to change, guys. It's not going to magically change. It's a math game now. Got to take 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. That will even the series for the season. If you sweep Chicago, you win the season series. But what you absolutely cannot do is lose the series in Chicago because now you're really in a problem when it comes to the wild card. It just makes things that much harder. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we'll hear what Frank's breakdown of the weekend was from his perspective. We'll talk about, all the stories about the stands being overrun by Dodger fans. We'll talk about the pitching strategy because that seems to be a problem right now with the starting pitching. We'll get to all of that and more as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. 10:25 on a Monday. I don't know. I just kind of view the weekend a little bit different than a lot of Padres fans that might have been, somewhat emotional about the weekend. Obviously, it's the Dodgers, and people freak out about LA and whatever it may be. And trust me, ask my family how I was watching the games. It's not like I don't get super into it. I do. But I think, Frank, we have to take the general perspective of the overall season reacting to certain series, because playing the Dodgers in the regular season is not the end-all be-all. And we know this because the last time the Padres won the regular season series against LA, they lost them in the playoffs. And the time before that, when they lost to them in the regular season, they beat them in the playoffs. It doesn't correlate when you get to October baseball. And what the crazy thing is about baseball, you just need to get in and anything happens. We've seen that so many times in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years of playoff baseball in major league in the major leagues, aside from the last two with the Dodgers kind of dominating. I mean, but even then, they were one bad play away from not making it to the World Series last year. You need to make the dance. And then once you get there, anything is possible. And the best way for the Padres to do it, like we talked about at the beginning of the season, is going through the wild card. And these games against LA, it affects your your standings, but it's more important to play against the other teams in the National League than it is the Dodgers.
Yeah, especially when you know that the Dodgers are clearly the class of the field. And they have been for years. And like you said, the Padres have had the dog walked on them by the Dodgers in the regular season over these last couple of years. But whenever it comes down to the postseason, they get up for those games. They're the most entertaining series in the postseason. That is really what matters. You cannot just sit there and focus on these Dodger series, especially when you're 9, 10 games out going into the series. You can't sit there and focus and say, we got to sweep these guys. It doesn't really matter. The fact that they're playing the Dodgers again this weekend for 4, now going 1-3 is not going to be a good look.
No,
absolutely not. We're not saying that. You should care about that. You should be going in there hoping for and expecting a split, but you can't put these series as the be-all, end-all of the season. You remember last year, we were doing the crucial 42, and then we were down to the final 31. You had to play the Dodgers twice. In the final 31 games, you got swept out of the first 3. That's important. That is where you need, because you went into those final 31 games tied. That is when it becomes more important. Season on the line. It's a series in June. It's a 3-game series in June. You at least took a game. You were competitive in the other 2, at least until the 6th inning of Saturday night. You gave Yamamoto somewhat of a run for his money. They were competitive games. Again, I would be a lot more concerned if they weren't competitive games. Again, you're behind these guys by 10 games. Mets played the Phillies this weekend. I didn't care win, lose, or draw. Did not matter because you're so far behind them. And a 3-game series at this point doesn't really matter against a team like Philadelphia if you're the Mets.
And the other thing, too, the only way you're making up ground is if you sweep.
Exactly.
Because if the Padres took 2 out of 3 this week, let's say the Padres took 2 out of 3 this weekend from LA, they would have picked up 1 game.
Yeah.
So they would have been 8 games out instead of 9 games out. They went into the weekend 9 games out. They lost 2 out of 3. They lost 1 game. They're now 10 games out. If they take 2 out of 3, they improve by a game. That's it. Same thing going in this weekend. It's a little bit different now because there's 4 games. But, if you go 3-1, you'll pick up 2. If you lose 2 of them, right? If you go 1-3, you'll lose 2 games in the standings. If you split, nothing happens. The only thing that drastically changes if you do a sweep. You would have to go up to LA and sweep in 4. Now, here's Yankees just got swept by the Red Sox in 4 games. Red Sox are terrible.
And they walked him off last night, too. Sonny Gray took a no-hitter into the 8th inning yesterday, and then they had to walk him off in the 10th.
Right. So, again, I think it's it gets to a point where it's hyper-focused on LA when it just needs to be, again, at this point in the season, and knowing that you are a team that's competing for a wild card spot, this is not a team that needs to do measuring sticks anymore. This is not the 2015 Padres to see, well, let's see how good we are. I mean, most Padres fans think their team's not very good right now. Anyway, look at how the Braves fans reacted after getting swept by the Padres. This team's terrible. This team's not going to the playoffs. These players suck. I mean, I had all those tweets. I looked at them. It was hilarious. I mean, this is a team that's in first place. Let's see if I could find that. The Braves. Yeah, here we go. This Braves team, as currently constructed, is very, very bad. Thank God for the historic start. They rank as one of the 5 worst offenses over the last 5 weeks. Their starting pitching is completely imploded, and they're hiding secret injuries and bullpen arms. This team is terrible. How cooked are the Braves on a scale from 1 to 10? What a perfect roster that is built right now. We're playing non-everyday starters and expect to win games. $20 million for Hassan Kim, Jorge Mateo, Eli White, Dom Smith. Yaz is horrible. Offense is ice cold. Riley sucks. It's every team, guy. Every team does it. The Braves are in first place, are they not? They just lost 2 out of 3 to the Giants. It's like every team when they lose, it's just this epic crash out. This isn't football. And I love football. Football's like my favorite sport. It's not football. It's a game of numbers. It's math. It's all right, cool. We went 4-2 on the homestand. That's what we needed. Let's try to take 2 out of 3 in Chicago. This is what you have to do to stick around. And then you get to the trade deadline and you got to be within striking distance. And we've seen this time and time again. And then you gear it up in the final kind of stretch. And that's not to say all these games aren't important because they start to stack up, but we're talking about you got to go on streaks here where you are, winning 2 out of 3 on pace for 2 out of 3 almost every time. And guess what you did? You did that this homestand. Your own mistakes cost you 2 games this weekend. Those are fixable mistakes too. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we'll get to your phone calls. We'll also talk about the attendance over the weekend. I saw a lot of articles on that. I have my thoughts on why that was the case, and we'll keep talking Padres baseball. On the other side, Braden Surprenant Show, setting his number at Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, standing as number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Good to be with all of you today. We got new shirts. We got new shirts posted. I'm trying to show it on there, but we do have some new stuff that came in. We got the regular brown and gold shirts for the Braden Surprenant Show. We also have a new blue and orange shirt for the Braden Surprenant Show. It's awesome. Solid. I'm going to wear it tomorrow at the show. Today I had football practice in the morning, went to my workout and all that other stuff. But tomorrow I'm going to wear it. It's pretty cool shirt. I think it came out really good and really clean. If you want to check it out, you can see it on our Shopify. You can also see it on the tagged products on YouTube as well. You can see it if you go to youtube.com/B_SURP BSURP. There is a shop on there as well. If you want to check out the t-shirts, helps us out. If you haven't gotten your shirt yet, come on, what's going on? Plus, everybody that was granted a membership on YouTube, be on the lookout for me to send you a code to get a discount on some of the shirts. We're going to do that coming up tomorrow as well. So just want to let you know, we got new shirts up there. So be able to check that out on Shopify. Get yourself a blue and orange shirt. Works great on City Connect days. Looks like the 1998 look. It's pretty cool. I like it. So throw it out. I'm just throwing it out there for you. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Talking Padres and Dodgers from over the weekend. We were also diving into the crowds this weekend. I know people made a big deal about that. I'll have my thoughts in just a second. Japan has a 1-0 lead on Brazil in the 41st minute of play for the first of 3 games today in the World Cup. We'll talk about the World Cup later on in the show. Frank, Brazil dominating the possession. They keep putting shots on goal, on net, but it's Japan that is doing a pretty good job so far today. They got a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, Japan does have a history of being giant killers. No Godzilla pun intended. I mean, they took down Germany a couple of years ago. So I mean, they have a tendency to really get up and play well in these games, and for them to get a quick goal here, I think it was Sano in the 29th minute. That's really not a bad spot for Japan to be in at all. I would have picked Brazil, but this is one of those games where I would not be surprised by the result either way.
Let's talk. I wanted to. We'll talk about the crowds at Petco Park over the weekend. I do want to get to Brandon in Carlsbad. He's always a man of positivity on a Monday. Brandon, what's going on, man?
Yeah, boys. How's it going? Hope everyone had a good weekend. Which I just want a blanket statement that over the fact that why do we magnify when the Dodgers come to town? Well, I'm going to tell you guys why. I'm going to be a voice of the Friar Faithful. Is we see hats everywhere, whether they're transplants that moved here, because the only good thing to come out of LA is the Dodgers, so I get it. We have to hear them run their mouths. We see them, they parade in our city. We don't do that in LA. Even if we wanted to, we wouldn't. Why? It's a waste of money. Who cares? So the only caveat to all that for me economically is they're buying tickets to our stadium. That creates revenue and obviously the businesses surrounding the stadium because they're closer. They're world champs. So, I'd say 35+% of that is bandwagoners. But they bring revenue in, right? But we have to deal with, not that we're saints. We are the Padres, but not that we're saints. But their fan base, 9 times out of 10, they love to be provocative. They want to run their mouth. How do I know? Because I used to be that punk that I would go fight at Chargers-Raiders games and gladly at Dodgers-Padres game. Am I proud of it? No. But I think I speak on behalf of a lot of the Friar Faithful that you got to deal with it in mass. That's why it gets old. The caveat is good. They're cool. They come fill seats. They create revenue for the businesses, and they bring money to our ballpark. But we have to deal with the fallout from that. The flip side of all that is, guys, is there's still enough baseball left. I am a Friar Faithful to the teeth, to the gills. But again, the difference between that separates us from them is little things too that tick us off, like batting into double plays when the Manny Machados and the Tatises should be our clutch guys, because you don't see Freddie or any of those dudes doing it, and we do it all the time. And that's the separation. I have to tip my hat to them, because when it counts, they usually pull it off, and when it counts, we don't pull it off. I love you guys. God bless you, Braden and Frank, and let's go, baby. We got some time left. Fire Faithful out.
Thank you, Brandon. I know why people freak out on that stuff, but again, we have to get to a point where it doesn't bother you. You have to get to a point where it doesn't bother you. And I understand, it's hard to do that. And this is why I think it's a transition into this, the story from over the weekend about the Dodger fans being there. I mean, I get it, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to listen to that. I don't want to listen to them be annoying. I don't want to listen to people that have no idea what's going on in the game just talk smack to me because the team that they happen to root for is better than the team that I root for. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to pay the money to deal with that. I don't. I understand. I get it. But here's the reality of the situation. It's not going to change unless the Padres start beating up on LA year after year after year. Because guess who's going to stop showing up to games? I want somebody to name me a fan base that overtakes stadiums and their team sucks. Give me a fan base. I'd love to know who they are.
I would say the Yankees, ironically, but that would be a lie.
It would be a lie. Name me a fan base that takes over stadiums and they suck. Cowboys. I can see that.
Yeah, that's a fair one.
I give credit to the Cowboys. Raiders. They still do that?
I don't think so. Not since they moved
Raiders
to
are
LA.
pretty diehard, right? I mean, give me a fan base in
Vegas,
baseball.
not LA.
Give me a fan base in baseball that's taking over stadiums and their team sucks. There's not a lot of them. So you're talking about an organization that's just won back-to-back World Series. Yeah, they're going to show up everywhere. They're going to show up everywhere. Like, when you're looking to buy tickets for a play, maybe you just love ball. That's fine. But, like, if you're looking for tickets on the road and you're a Padres fan, are you more inclined to, like, go to games where you know your team's going to get their ass kicked? Do you want to go to those games? Seriously. Like, do you want to go to a game where your team's going to get their ass kicked? I don't. There's some games like that where I'm like, nope, absolutely not. For other sports. So, and I'm not saying that's what the Padres fans did this weekend, but I'm saying, like, the Dodgers right now are the best team in baseball. So, and they've won back-to-back World Series. Their fans are going to be a little empowered and emboldened to make moves like this. So I didn't see too many of, like, the reaction from some of the players. It seemed like a lot of the players understood the finances behind it because of the fact that you have to pay money for season tickets and they're expensive, and it's a good way to recuperate your money, right? But if you start kicking a team's ass over and over and over again, guess what their fans are not going to do? One, show up. And two, you know what they're especially not going to do? Start running their mouth. Because we used to see a lot of fan bases come here all the time because the Padres weren't very good. And even a lot of these big teams that would always bring fans, like the Cubs, people are always talking about the Cubs. The Cubs fans are great. They always show up. No, they don't. They show up when they're somewhat good. That's when they show up. And when they're playing, then they show up when the team that they're playing against, they know they're better than. That's when they show up. So I'm not mad at season ticket holders that decided to sell their tickets. It's a business thing. Okay. It's not that big of a deal. And if you don't like it, you play. That's why I have the saying. If you don't like it, you got to play better. Play better. But in terms of, like, what you could get for those tickets, it's just I understand why fans would do it. It's not fun dealing with that. I mean, going to Saturday's game just to say, like, I didn't sell the tickets to Dodger fans and, like, had to sit through, like, a 14-3 ass kicking, and then they had to listen to those people yell at you the whole time when you have no impact on what happens at the game. I can understand why people said, you know what? I don't want to do this. Play better. But for, again, like, because Adam Paul in the chat's like, they showed up, like, when the Cubs were bad, they would show up. Yeah. When were they showing up when they were bad and the Padres were good? Like, that's the other thing. You can still show, like, so it's San Diego. Like, it'll be fun. The Cubs could probably win a couple of those games back when the Padres weren't very good either. There's not a fan base in baseball that takes over stadiums to watch their team get their ass kicked, and then they just go like, oh, nice, that was fun. That was a fun game. Doesn't happen like that. So if you want to stop showing up, you have to play better. And here's the other thing. I'm also not, unless they, like, put it in some of these articles statistically that they are coming directly from LA. One, it's close enough. But two, I'm not necessarily convinced, Frank, these people are all from LA.
No.
I see Dodgers fans everywhere in Southern California. And there's bandwagoner fans. People like jumping on bandwagons when they win and they win World Series. But overall, like, I can't get mad at somebody selling tickets to whoever they sold tickets to when you could make money and get your money back on some season. I don't, it's a business idea. It's a business decision. It makes sense. I don't get mad at Padres fans getting drowned out by the Dodgers fans because, you know what? They show up in droves when their team's very good. These are things that happen, like you see it in a lot of sports. But you know what you stop seeing happen? When those teams don't do well, they stop showing up. Because nobody just likes showing up to watch their team get smoked. It's not what happens. I mean, most of the, but the other thing too, like here with like the Cubs fans, like most of the Cubs fans are there just to like, they're not even there for the game. They're there for like the atmosphere of like baseball and like drinking the beer and making the beer snake in the bleachers. So I would imagine that a lot of the Dodger fans that showed up this weekend are San Diegans. I don't think they're just all from LA. I think it's like the lazy tale. They're just coming down from LA. Like what they don't live here. Sure about that? 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. This series this week is very important for the San Diego Padres. Speaking of the Cubs. Very important. This is where it matters. They have to be able to take 2 out of 3 this week in Chicago. And guess what? That doesn't even really, that just has you pick up a game. It doesn't really do anything for you in terms of the tiebreaker because then you would just be tied with the Cubs. You wouldn't have a tiebreaker. So if they want to have the season tiebreaker, they have to sweep Chicago this week. If they just want to be tied with the, like have a split the season series, they have to take 2 out of 3. And it sounds like Griffin Canning's going today for the Padres.
Against Shota Imanaga.
I will say this. This pitching situation's a little it's not very good when your top guys are not pitching well. And a lot of it is the locations. I mean, Randy Vásquez has just lost his ability to locate anything. Now, he's been getting tagged his last 7 or 8 outings. Which is brutal to see because at the beginning of the year, he looked like exactly what he thought he could be. You saw what he could be for the Padres and why they traded for him. But at this point, when you see this pitching staff and see what they have to do here in the next couple of weeks until at least the trade deadline, because I don't think they're going to change anything drastically. I mean, you have teams right now that are 500 winning divisions in the American League. There's still teams out there that are figuring out if they're a playoff team or not. You can't just like pull the trigger on a new trade. You're going to have to wait. And so for the time being, you're going to have to tread some water. And they got, I mean, every one of their pitchers have shown signs, but the bullpen is the one that's really getting taxed right now, and you have to figure out a way to save the bullpen. I think they've been doing that with openers, but that only goes so far because that didn't work on Saturday. And who knows what you're going to see today. And you got to try to use players to try to create opportunities to eat innings to just try to take it off your bullpen. And this is the type of conversations that the Padres are having right now just to save the bullpen and try to make it as far as they need to make it.
Now, they said that Griffin Canning is the starter for today. Interesting now they did. Okay, it wasn't this morning when the show started, but now they have so Griffin Canning will be the starter today. He's not going to be the bulk hitting guy with a starter. He's going to be
there. He's going to let him start. We're going to talk about the strategy of the starting pitching when we come back.
No, we're not.
We're not. No,
we have Josh Richardson.
Then we're going to do it after that. We're going to get an update from the minor leagues, and then we'll talk about the rotation and what the pitching strategy might be coming up in the next hour. Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Sermon Sports Station 97.3 Fan. Broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios. We know how. 1 hour in the books, 3 to go on the Braden Surprenant Show, leading you into Gwen and Chris for a little bit. And then the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show coming up with Sam Levitt into Padres baseball. Time's the game start today. It is a 5:05 start. How about that? So, get to that point later on. Griffin Canning and Imanaga. Shota and Managa is the pitching matchup today in Chicago. This has been a place that hasn't really done well for the Padres. Haven't really done well there last couple of times, it seems. We'll see how Griffin Canning does. It was a 1-5 record and a 7.38 ERA. The pitching situation is definitely tough. So we will see what the Padres have in store later on. We will talk about the pitching strategy in just a little bit. But it is now time on a Monday to... Well, not yet. Usually do our minor league report. We are trying to track down Josh Richardson right now.
I typed the number in wrong because, Dysexlia wins the game. It wins the day again.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, we're trying to track down Josh Richardson. He's the play-by-play man of the Lake Elsinore Storm to kind of recap what they've been doing the last couple of days, what the prospects are doing down there in Lake Elsinore. Obviously, a lot of moving parts last week with the roster moves affecting everybody in the minor leagues. I think it was like 20 to 30 something players ended up moving all over the place. So how has the new look of these teams been? We'll go down to low A Lake Elsinore in the California League with their play-by-play man, Josh Richardson. Josh, what's going on? How's your Monday?
Going good, Braden. How are you?
I'm doing well. Obviously, a lot to talk about after this last week. I mean, they did it early in the week, but a lot of new faces all over the organizations of the Padres minor league system. There was a plethora of moves. How has that impacted the Lake Elsinore Storm last week?
Yeah, there's been a lot of moving up and down within the Padres organization. Lake Elsinore, the only Padres affiliate to clinch a playoff spot and win the first half. So big time for them, and it shows the type of prospects and players that they have within the organization. We've said it a lot. They had 7 top 30 prospects and 4 or 5 in the top 10, and they really balled out. And you win the first half, and you do it pretty handily, at least in the South Division. You win it. You go 39-27. You win it by 3 games. Then you get 7 players that were mainstays in the rotation, the bullpen, and the starting lineup all leave. Second half so far has not been so kind to the Storm, just 2-7. But they're still working out the kinks. They're still playing pretty well. Had a nice comeback win over Fresno yesterday to kind of salvage that series and win 2 of the 6. So, things hopefully starting to get on the up in a big 6-game set against Stockton this week.
Yeah, this is a good series to get back on track. But, despite a lot of the losses, the Storm did show some fight over the weekend, nearly coming back on June 25th and rallying for runs, late and others. What have you seen in terms of the resilience or adjustments from this group, especially since a lot of their good players got sent up to Fort Wayne?
Yeah, and that's a big thing, right? Is, I always like to make the joke of the Moneyball quote from Brad Pitt. You can't replace him, but you can try and recreate him in the aggregate. That's what the Storm are trying to do right now, because you lose Ryan Weidman, Luke Cantwell, and Carrington Cross, 3 guys in the starting lineup. That's 117 RBIs, 76 extra base hits, and 66 stolen bases. That is unbelievable production from 3 guys, and it shows why they're up in Fort Wayne. So now you have different guys that are moved into different roles than they had been in the first half. Connor Westenberg, a big one, who typically was hitting 8th or 9th as a second leadoff guy to Weidman. Now, yesterday he got moved up as to hit leadoff for just the 3rd time this season. You had a couple other guys moving around defensive positions. Dylan Grego, who was up in El Paso to fill a roster spot for a while, came back down to Lake Elsinore. He was usually a middle infielder. Now they've moved him out into the outfield. There have been a couple other changes and everything. There's just a lot of getting used to. I mean, these are 2 completely separate seasons, the first half and the second half. Yes, a lot of the players will remain there, But in terms of how you approach it and the strategy that goes into it, when you lose all of those guys, and not even to mention the pitching staff, you lose 2 starters and Brian Bowser and Winier Churio and 2 relievers and Nick Falter and Will Koger, you have to strategize how you're going to use different guys in different ways, because everybody's role now has to change to accommodate what's best for the team. And there were some growing pains. You know, the first 3 games of the second half, you lose all 3 in San Jose. Giants are really, really good up in the North Division. And then you come back down for Fresno, you win 2 out of the 6. But that last game, they showed a lot of fight in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. So I think there's definitely been some growing pains, but I think they're going to be a lot better moving forward because they're starting to figure out how to play in each other's roles.
Let's talk about some of the standout players and prospects down there in Lake Elsinore. Jose Verdugo has been one of the bright spots. 28-game on-base streak, big OPS jump, and solid contact of one of the youngest players in the league. What's impressed you most about his approach and development so far?
It's just about his poise at the plate is, I think, a really big thing. I mean, you said it, one of the youngest guys. This kid is 18 years old. He won't turn 19 until September, the end of the season. So when you have a guy that's hitting just under 275 and, you know, above 700 OPS that can hit guys in with 34 RBI and can also run when he gets on base, he's got nearly 20 swipe bags. This is a guy that has really, really stepped up so far in the month of June for the Storm. When you look at it overall, he's hitting nearly 280 in June, he's hitting, right around 280 and is really, really just played well. He struggled those last couple games of the Fresno series, but before that, I mean, he had been on fire. And this is somebody that in the middle infield, to pair with Jorge Quintana, who's already one of the top prospects in the Padres org, this is a really, really great middle infield complement to him, and his versatility to go from second base to shortstop, to play a couple different places wherever the Storm have needed him to, all at just 18 years old. I mean, he's certainly playing well beyond his years right now, and definitely somebody to watch out for in the org moving forward as the years go on.
Let's talk about the pitching for a second. We're talking with Josh Richardson, who is the play-by-play man of the Lake Elsinore Storm. Several international arms have been in action as of late. Long Hung Soo in his full season debut, Zach Kin back in Lake Elsinore with a strong strikeout pitch mix, and others, of course, Cruz Schoolcraft, which a lot of Padres fans know about, and Tyler Schmidt. How are these young pitchers progressing in terms of inning stuff and command right now down there in Lake Elsinore?
I'll tell you what, I'll start with Cruz because, I mean, that's the guy that everybody knows. He's circled on every Padres fan's, prospect watch list and what he's done. His month of June has been light years better than what happened to start the season. Even his May, you saw a significantly more progress, but it was in shorter sample sizes. So in April, Cruz had a 15, nearly a 16 ERA. In May, it was 4.6, and this month it's 4.9. But the big thing that I'm really noticing out of Cruz is in May, he didn't go beyond 4 innings in any of his starts. So everything was really, really short. He wasn't striking guys out very much, especially compared to how many walks he was delivering, 25 to 14. Well, this month, he's gone 5 innings in every single start with 18 Ks to 7 walks. The command is significantly improving. The strikeout stuff is starting to come back now that he's settled in and learning a new pitch mix and figuring out how to use those secondary pitches a lot better to complement his fastball, and he's limited the walks. And that's the really big thing is, to begin this season in April, he had more walks than strikeouts. That's just stuff that can't happen. And that's a high school kid that is now playing against grown men that needs to learn and adapt. And he's really starting to. For some of the other arms, Lan Hung Soo didn't pitch that badly. The 4th inning really started to get away from him in his start against Fresno this week. But honestly, he had some really good stuff that I think can really benefit him moving forward. And Zach Chin, I mean, this is a guy that missed all of last season. And when he was in Lake Elsinore in 2024, I mean, he didn't pitch that much, just 5 games and 7 innings, but he had a 2.57 ERA. So you give him a little bit of time. He has the strikeout stuff. I mean, when you miss an entire season, it's going to take some growing pains to get back to where you were, especially playing, 7 games and nearly 22 innings in rookie ball. give him some time, let him develop, and that's somebody that can also really shoot up the ranks pretty quickly within this Padres org. The young pitching, as the season has gone on, for a lot of them in their first season in A-ball, first full season that is, are really starting to come around.
We're talking with Josh Richardson. He's the play-by-play man of the Lake Elsinore Storm, the low A affiliate in the California League for your San Diego Padres. And Josh, the Storm, I've had some big offensive outbursts earlier in the season, like the 8-run inning that they had against the 66ers. What does this lineup look like when it's clicking? Who are some of the sleepers fans should watch? Obviously, a little bit different roster in the first half than the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Connor Westenberg is always somebody to keep an eye out for. His bat has started to cool off a little bit. I mean, he was red hot in the month of April. He was hitting well over 350 for a while going into the season. And it started to tail off a little bit. He's cooled off. But when this kid gets on the base paths, you don't want to blink a single second. He's already stolen home this year. He already has a Little League home run this year. He has 29 stolen bases. And while that number seemed a little bit pedestrian when you were putting him in a lineup next to Ryan Weidman, who had 43 in the first 66 games, Westenberg can run and run like it's nobody's business. That is somebody to always keep an eye out for and always check in on how he's doing. Some other sleepers in this lineup, Dylan Grego is definitely somebody that I've watched improve a lot. He started the year in Fort Wayne and struggled a little bit with the Tin Caps. He got sent down back in the middle of the first half of the year. He played just 24 games with Fort Wayne, and he hit just 111. Then he went up to Lake Elsinore, and you could see some of those struggles still going on. It was a lot of strikeouts to begin, and then he started to settle back in. And then he went up to El Paso. And El Paso, the AAA team for the Padres, just to kind of fill a roster spot for a little while they move some guys around. He hit 500, 9 for 18 with 3 doubles. So not exactly the cheap hits that, happen, somewhat often where you just kind of find a hole in the infield, not very hard off the bat. I mean, he hit 500 over an 18 at-bat sample size, which granted isn't that much, but in AAA, and then has come back to Lake Elsinore after that and really started to hit the ball well. He had 2 RBIs yesterday. He had another RBI back on Saturday. I mean, his bat is really starting to come around, and he's got hits in 3 of his first 5 games back with Lake Elsinore. That is somebody that can really, once he can start to get clicking, and whatever he learned in El Paso and however he's seeing the ball differently, it's certainly translating back down to A-ball.
Coming up this week, some home games, but also, for the next couple of weeks, if you will, it's going to be hot, definitely, in Lake Elsinore. But what's the atmosphere been like up there at the Diamond in Lake Elsinore? And what else you guys got cooking coming up there in terms of like maybe promotions or things that are happening up at the Diamond?
I'll tell you what, the promotional team for the Storm is unlike any team that I have ever been a part of. It has been so much fun. Yesterday afternoon was Mexican Heritage Night. Saturday was Star Wars Night, which was really fun. They were giving out lightsabers to everybody. That was really cool. And on the Jumbotron, instead of the player profile pictures, instead it was just all different. It was all different Star Wars characters. So I think Jorge Quintana was R2-D2. So that was really fun looking up at from the press box. But I mean, there's always something going on for the Storm. Friday was rodeo night for all the cowboys out there. And then just the normal Tuesday through Thursday, pets get in free on Wildlife Wednesdays. And coming up is another good slate. Every Friday we have fireworks at the Diamond. And then of course, Saturday is the 4th. So we'll have fireworks Friday and Saturday for anyone that wants to pop out to the Diamond for some Lake Elsinore baseball. It's going to be fun, not just on the field, but also everything that you get to experience afterward.
Josh, we appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you in a little bit, in a couple of weeks or so. Obviously, you guys have the All-Star break as well, coming up on the 13th through the 16th of July. But here in the second half, as you go, what is like the biggest series that the Storm have to deal with here coming up in the second half of the season?
Biggest series, I would have to say, probably in August when you're at home against Ontario from the 4th to the 9th. Right now, the Tower Buzzers in first place in the South second half at 6-3. You always want to take down the Giants. And if you can just kind of manage your way into the All-Star break, get some rest, and come out with the bats swinging, and then that first week in August, you get the team right now in first place, that's going to be a really big series to try and build some momentum into the second half, or through the second half of the season. Because, again, you've already clinched a playoff spot, so it's not about getting there. It's about making sure that you're there longer than everybody else.
Josh, appreciate the time, man. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks for having me.
Josh Richardson, play-by-play man of the Lake Elsinore Storm, giving us the minor league report here on a Monday. We like to throw that out there for you. Anyway, the Storm. The Storm have like one of the most iconic logos ever. It's so cool, the eyes. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. Lake Elsinore Storm. It has to be so hot up there during the summer.
I don't even want to imagine.
I mean, like he talked about the series against Ontario, right?
Mm-hmm.
On August 4th. That is an 11:05 a.m. game, the first game of the week on Tuesday, August 4th. 11:05 in Lake Elsinore. That is hot. That is hot. Then they play San Jose at the end of the month in August. All 6 o'clock games.
What's their ballpark name? Just out of
the Diamond in Lake Elsinore.
Okay,
that's what I've always seen it as. I mean, I look at they're all night games. You kind of have to. It's especially the California League, because it's all like the Inland Empire. You got Visalia, you got Ontario, you got Rancho Cucamonga. The only one that's not, Stockton gets hot too. Inland Empire. The only one's not, I guess, is San Jose. But even then, it gets hot in the summertime.
All right, so we're going with the Diamond Club Restaurant in Lake Elsinore, because that's got to be in the ballpark somewhere. Well, it's not bad. It's 81 today. It'll be in the it's gonna be in the mid-90s over the weekend into next week.
It gets hot up there, dude. The Inland Empire gets hot. That's where like all these teams are.
No disrespect, but I will not be going to a Lake Elsinore game anytime. If I do, it's gonna be at the beginning of the season.
You have to go at night game. I mean, it's probably nice at night. It's probably like nice and warm at night, if you will.
I want it to be nice and warm. I want it to be nice and cold.
Nice and cold. Yeah, this is probably not the best place for you then. Gets hot out there, Frank. It's a hot summer.
All right.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we get back to your phone calls. Plus, we need to talk about the strategy of the starting rotation a little bit, because you got to find ways to not put everything on the shoulders of the bullpen. We'll discuss that when we come back.
Tony Gwynn.
All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. Thanks to Josh Richardson for joining us today to get a little breakdown of the Lake Elsinore Storm. We appreciate him and that. We do want to get back to your phone calls. So we're going to talk about the pitching staff for a second. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get to Ron in La Mesa. Ron, what's going on?
Gentlemen, how are you doing on this Monday morning? Hey, guys, I'm going to steal Nick Canepa's byline. Says, this is so says me. At the first of this homestand, I was going to be real happy with a 3-3 record. We ended up 4-2, so I'm pretty happy. Yeah, we got embarrassed a couple times, but, guys, it is the Dodgers, and they are one of the best teams in baseball, and there's just no denying that. Now, I'll tell you one thing, Braden. Econ 101 is what tells you about the Dodgers coming on weekends. I took care of about 3,000 Dodger fans this weekend, and those people can drink and eat. Let me tell you, our pocketbooks went up tremendously. So I don't have a problem with it. And to be quite honest with you guys, they were really pretty nice. They all said that this is such a better ballpark than going to Chavez Ravine. Guys, that's why we are the number one ballpark in America, and Chavez Ravine is not. So I'm okay with the whole weekend thing and what's going on with it. The pitching is what it is, and that's going to be our downfall, boys. I had to get a shot in. I'm heading to Vegas to play some golf and shank some balls up in Utah. So have a good week, boys. We'll see you at the park.
Sounds good, Ron. So the people in St. George are in danger, I guess. Ron's playing golf in Vegas. It means he drives the ball pretty far. Just a little bit off. He's got to be looking out right now, Frank. If Ron's playing golf in Vegas, the sphere, it turns into like a giant happy face. That guy needs to be a little concerned.
So it sounds like.
All right, let's talk about this pitching staff for a second, and then we're going to talk into, should Padres fans be both optimistic and nervous? Interesting conversation. Let's talk about the starting rotation. It is a problem. The numbers are very alarming. Over the last 31 games, Padres starters have left the game trailing 15 times. Almost half of the games in the last 31, the Padres starters have left the game trailing. They have left tied another 8 times. That is way too often that the bullpen is asked to cover the most important innings of the ball game. And the problem is not that they're just, not just allowing runs. It's that inability to provide length. And the Padres rotation has struggled with early exits and walks and pitch counts and lack of consistency. And Padres starters right now have a 9.4% walk rate. That is the highest in Major League Baseball. That is no surprise to me. Not after what we saw over the weekend. Not with all the command issues you see with Griffin Canning and Randy Vásquez and the amount of walks that you saw yesterday out of Michael King. I mean, the walks need to stop. Do you know how many? 4 walks yesterday out of Michael King? They took advantage of all those walks. 4 walks, 4 earned runs.
It's funny how the one guy who pitched the worst this week, Randy Vásquez, only gave up 1 walk.
Yeah, that's because he's leaking the ball over the middle of the plate.
Out of the starters, you had 8 walks out of your starting pitchers this weekend. Only 1 of them was Vásquez.
You cannot have that at all. Leading the major leagues in walk percentage from a pitching standpoint, probably one of the worst stats you could lead in. You can't stop a walk. You have to stop walking people. Let's talk about Michael King. He is, I would say, the biggest rotation question. Would you not? I mean, you kind of know what you're going to get out of Walker Buehler. The guy's competitive, right? He's kind of like a 3 in your rotation right now. He's reinvented himself. He looks pretty good. You kind of know what you're going to get out of some of these other arms that you threw in there. But Michael King is so up and down. I mean, he was supposed to be that stabilizer. You saw it against the Braves last Monday. But instead, He allowed 4 runs yesterday in 4 1/3 innings against the Dodgers. It was another outing where he failed to complete 5. And in his last 8 starts, he has had multiple short outings. And the question is, of course, it's like, what Michael King are you going to get on a daily basis? Because he has shown dominance. He had 7 shutout innings against Atlanta. He had 7 shutout innings against the Dodgers earlier in the year. Those are 2 first-place teams. The inconsistency is the major concern. And like, it almost leads to the fact that you feel like these guys are just trying to be way too precise on the outside part of the plate. It leads to walks. And then when they start to adjust for this, Frank, they overcompensate and leave the ball over the heart of the plate.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like to me almost every single time with a lot of these guys. The Padres need Michael King to be a true top of the rotation arm. And he talked about it yesterday. He's quoting the Kevin Acee Daily Newsletter. I've been part of a bullpen that has had to eat a lot of innings, and it's definitely a grind down there. They're carrying way too much responsibility. I mean, we talk about Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler has become the ace of the team on necessity. He's been the most reliable starter. And then he had the biggest question mark going into the season out of all of them. He had a 1.71 ERA in 5 June starts. Looked great again on Friday. Has given the Padres exactly what they need, stability. I mean, we talked about Walker Buehler at the beginning of the year. I thought Walker Buehler was going to make it through the year. I liked his competitiveness. I thought with working with Ruben Niebla and not having the elbow problem anymore and finally not having the pain in his elbow, he was going to be solid. And he has been. He's been more than solid. But your rotation options moving forward. Griffin Canning, who's pitching tonight, 7.17 ERA in 8 starts. Randy Vásquez, who has not established himself as a dependable rotation piece. He has shown signs of being really good. He has shown signs of being one of the worst pitchers in baseball. J.P. Sears provided some hope after allowing 2 runs over 5 2/3 in his Padre debut. Herman Marquez, who might be back sooner rather than later. I mean, he could be potentially a boost, I guess. He had players close to returning. Could provide some innings and experience. And Johnny Brito. Johnny Brito's looked pretty good in the minor leagues. His last start wasn't that great, but still, as he has worked his way back, we have only heard good things, Frank, from managers down in the minor leagues about Johnny Brito.
Mm-hmm. I believe he pitched. He pitched yesterday too. He pitched recently, I think, with El Paso.
Now, I might need to write this down, and maybe I'll do it during the break. But those are your like rotation options moving forward, because you know Pivetta and Musgrove might come back end of July, might be early August. I mean, you don't really know. They're starting to throw again, which is great. Cool. But you don't know what you're going to get out of those guys. So right now you have Michael King, Randy Vásquez, Walker Buehler, Griffin Canning, J.P. Sears, Herman Marquez, Johnny Brito. You got like 7 guys right now that you're trying to find ways to eat innings with, because the bullpen is feeling most of the problem. It is the biggest strength for the Padres, but it's also being overused. And the last time that was the case was 2021. 2021, the Padres, in their first 118 games, had a 2.88 bullpen ERA. Their final 44 games, it was a 5.39. And the fear is the bullpen is elite, and it's elite right now, but repeated 5 and 6 out appearances could eventually catch up to this team. So what should the Padres do? We have some ideas. We'll tell you about them when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting Summer Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, setting number sports station 97.3 The Fan. All right. We wanted to talk a little bit about the strategy with this starting rotation here. Okay. You want to join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. So, obviously, there's some easily viewed and, easy identified problems for this team, correct? We understand that the bullpen is getting taxed. And they're still doing a good job, but it's not necessarily sustainable to keep this going. And Kevin Acee alluded to that in his newsletter with the comparison to 2021. And in 2021, as we mentioned before, ERA was like 2.88 in the first 118 games or whatever it was. And then the last part of the season, last like 40-something games, it was like a 5 whatever team ERA. So, with the bullpen being taxed and a lot of the starters not going deep into the games, you have to find ways to get to the bullpen in which the bullpen does not have to eat up most of the innings. The Padres obviously know that's a problem, Frank, because they've been using openers. But as good as the opener has been, it's whoever comes in after the opener has not been very good. So I don't necessarily know if these are solutions to that problem, because eventually you need guys to pitch well. But if the opener hasn't been working, could the Padres find themselves in a situation where they could maybe piggyback some guys? So I was having this discussion off air this morning before the show started. And based on what you have right now pitching wise, you would have to have, to me, you can't have a piggyback for every pitcher. So guys like King and Buehler are not going to have that. They're going to be like traditional starters. They have to find a way to get Vásquez to that point. Now, they could put him on the IL. I mean, you do have other options coming back, right? Waldron, Giolito at some point. Maybe it's a guy like Kyle Hart as a long relief guy being in that position. But let's just say for all intents and purposes, the project right now for Ruben Niebla is getting Randy Vásquez back to what he has been. So those three have to kind of be somewhat regular starters. So if you do the piggyback, that means you really need Brito, Sears, Marquez, and Canning to be split into two for the next two spots in the rotation. So you would do you could do, Brito and Sears if you want, and Canning and Marquez or something like that. And that would be your 4 and 5 guy in the rotation. And so you have Brito start the game, and then you have Sears come in, and if they both get you 4, which is not asking a lot, if they both get you 4, that means the bullpen only has to cover 1, right? So you would go like King, Buehler, Vásquez, Brito, Marquez, and Sears would back up Brito and Canning would back up Marquez. You can mix them around. I don't really care. And if those 4 guys that I mentioned give you 4 innings each, or 3 to 4 innings each, your bullpen's not getting used as much. Now, that being said, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to carry more pitchers or less bullpen guys and more starters, because that has you have 7 starting pitchers in this rotation, which means you can only carry 6 in the bullpen. And the bullpen would be, of course, Miller, Morahone, Adam. It'd be the 2 guys that are under contract, and Wandy Peralta and Yuki Matsui, and then probably Marinaccio. Unless you want to get rid of Marinaccio, and then you go with like Morgan or Estrada when he comes back, whatever. So then you have 6 guys in the bullpen. You'd have 7 in your rotation, and you do the piggyback thing. And if all goes according to plan, which isn't necessarily what happens more times than not, you would have 4 innings out of Brito, 4 innings out of Sears, and then you would need 1 inning at the end in the bullpen. If they go 3 and 3, that gives you 6, right? And then you have to fill in with the last 3. If they give you 4 and 3, then you could do it too. It's better because, like, for an opener, they're only going the first time. They're only going through the first inning. I mean, very rarely have they allowed these guys go a second inning, and you're not necessarily preserving the bullpen. It's more to get the starting pitcher in a better situation. Like, let's just have him face the middle of the order. Let's not have him face the best 3 guys in the lineup when we can have one of our, good bullpen arms do that. So from that perspective, the piggyback makes some kind of sense, but you would have to take away from your bullpen a little bit. Maybe you have a Morgan. So right now you would have, if that was the case, you would go King, Buehler, Vásquez, Brito and Sears, Marquez and Canning, whatever order you want. Your bullpen would be, Miller, Morahone, Adam Peralta, Matsui, Marinaccio. And then you would have, Hart would be in the minors. Morgan, he's got options. Rodriguez is already down there. Estrada's injured. You'd have to make that happen a little bit. And then, maybe you mix the guys up with Waldron and Giolito when they come back. But the idea is they both get you like 4 innings when you do the piggyback, and then it saves your bullpen. It's a way to kind of strategize with the arms you currently have until you improve it at the trade deadline. I don't necessarily mind it, but the problem is what happens if it goes dry. I guess if it goes dire for either guy, you'd have to use your bullpen anyway. You're already going to use it like that anyway. So you would have less in your bullpen, but they would eat the innings. I don't mind it, Frank. I think at this point you're trying to find ways to just get you. I mean, we talk about innings. You got to find the 27 outs somewhere right now for the Padres, especially with the pitching staff and the way they've been playing.
Oh, for sure. And it's not going to be Brito and Sears though right now. It's going to be Waldron and Marquez, because those are the 2 that are coming back. I don't mind at all doing the piggyback with the 2 starters. I don't mind that at all. And I think the two obvious choices are Kyle Hart and David Morgan to go down, because I don't think Ron Marinaccio has done anything really this year to get him cut. He's been fine. He's going to stay on this roster, and if he goes to waivers, he's immediately going to get picked up. He hasn't been lights out, but he also hasn't been like egregiously bad. He's been their bulk guy. His numbers are out of whack because of that reason. But right now you have German Marquez, and you have Matt Waldron coming back from injury. Both of them are on rehab outings right now. So you would have to think, first off, JP Sears could be going down for Marquez. And then it becomes a decision on what you're going to do with Matt Waldron at that point. So I personally, I think you have a better chance of success with Brito and Sears, at least Sears for right now. We'll see what he does tomorrow against the Cubs. But I do not mind the piggyback situation at all, because this is having, much in the same way we discussed the offense having a knock-on effect of them taxing the pitching, and the pitching is now starting to feel the effects of that knock-on effect. Now the starting rotation is starting to really have a negative knock-on effect to the bullpen.
Right, but you would have to have, four of those guys. So it'd be, and maybe instead of, you would have to have either Brito or Sears, even if Waldron came back, because it'd be Brito, Sears, Marquez, and Canning in that situation would all be on the team. And what you would have is Hart and Morgan would not be on the team anymore. They'd be down in AAA. Because in order to, unless you make Hart one of these piggyback guys,
yeah, Hart and Morgan have
innings.
They've already used options for them this year too. So
right,
it's the easiest.
The way to do it, you would only have 6 bullpen guys, and you would have 7 starters. It could be, you could throw Waldron in there for whoever you want, if and when he comes back. But the idea is 6 bullpen arms, 7 starters, and the three starters would be with the regular bullpen, and then the other 4 guys would have to eat innings. Because Go Aztecs in the chat said, well, what happens if something bad happens? Well, if something bad happens, here's the deal. Like, if they get down big, guess who's just going to wear the game? Mm-hmm. It's going to be one of those guys. It's going to be like, no, or the first guy. They're just going to let him, die out there. But it's not, you're not getting saved from that, because you need theoretically your better bullpen guys ready to go for King and Buehler and Vásquez than you would for the other two. Because at that point, you're just gonna, pitch over the heart of the plate, let guys make outs, and try to get through games. So I don't mind the idea. I think right now, with what you have and what you have to work with, this is what you kind of have to do. This is what you kind of have to do right now. And as we've mentioned before, and we'll mention multiple times, there's not one team in baseball that has enough pitching. So to say if they just would have added all these pitchers, or if they would have just developed all these great pitchers, it doesn't work like that. There are not teams that are just readily cranking out pitchers on the daily. And, everybody always leans to, Seattle Mariners are not in first place. Seattle Mariners have struggled with their offense for years. So wherever you take your eggs and wherever basket you put them in, you're not turning over solutions all the time. There's only one team that's able to do that. So these are teams that, it might seem like they can do that, but if you look at the Cubs, they don't even have any starting pitching. They barely have anybody with how many guys that they have lost.
They're throwing Imanaga, Boyd, and Colin Ray these next 3 days.
Yeah, you even get two of their better pitchers out of the 5. But even if the Padres invested in pitching and had young guys, and you could still find yourself in this situation based on injuries and everything like that. The reality is, going into this year, you were expecting Nick Pivetta and Joe Musgrove to pitch. Maybe with Joe Musgrove, you weren't expecting him to pitch a lot, but you definitely were expecting Nick Pivetta to pitch a lot. And you lost both of them. I mean, even the guys that you picked up, like Giolito, it's not like he's on the IL now. I mean, a lot of the options are not necessarily healthy. And so it made a lot more sense. But now with like your current situation of injuries and the fact that you don't have a lot of pitchers to begin with, and some of the risks that they took did not really pan out, you have to make moves like this to try to save your bullpen, which they loaded up on. And that's why if you're AJ Preller, like loading up on a strength is not a bad it's not a bad idea because right now that strength is so good, it is carrying you right now. But I think this is a way to kind of get to at least the All-Star break if you really wanted to, especially if you're trying to save the innings for bullpen arms. And it would be nice if your offense was kind of moving forward a little bit more, because then you wouldn't have to worry about the high leverage guys going all the time, because it wouldn't always be high leverage. You would just be putting up runs and separating yourself from the pack. But I think you're starting to see the offense a little bit. I think you're starting to see Manny Machado a little bit now. Another home run yesterday. We're going to talk more about Manny in the noon hour. This game's coming down to the wire in the World Cup. We're tied at 1 in the 92nd minute as we are in. They added 6 minutes of stoppage time. And then from here, they play like, did they do the penalty kicks after 2 periods?
Two 15-minute halves, and then if no one's leading by then, it's penalties.
And it's not golden goal, right?
No golden goal.
You're just playing 2 halves.
Mm-hmm. 2 15-minute halves.
So like if Brazil scored fast and then Japan answered, then they would get the penalty kicks. It would just be 2-2.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We'll keep you updated on that. We're going to get you a World Cupdate in the next hour as well. If you want to join the show today, 833-288-973, 833-288-973. We will do that in the next hour or two. I know I got Bill and Escondido waiting on hold. We'll get to you when we start the next hour. We're getting pushed up to the clock right now. I didn't want to rush your phone call, so we only got about 20 seconds or so before we have to head to break. But overall, in the piggyback situation, honestly, my biggest takeaway from this when it was presented to me was, what's it going to hurt at this point? Like you're trying to be competitive, but also save your bullpen for the second half of the season for when you do hopefully acquire a starting pitcher. It doesn't get to a point where the rotation's solid and now the bullpen has fallen apart because they've been used the entire time. A lot of things roll through the offense. A lot of things roll through not throwing strikes for this Padres team. When we come back, World Cupdate, we'll also get your phone calls, 833-288-1973, 833-288-1973. New lunchtime hour coming up next.
San Diego, let's get to it. No fluff, no filters, just San Diego sports the way it's supposed to be.
When one asset of your game is not performing at a high level, you need the other portions of your game to step up and overcome those things.
The takes hit different here.
You know, everybody's all worried about the Padres not hitting home runs. The Padres don't need to hit home runs to win games. The home runs are going to come. It's finding different ways to win.
This is the Braden Surprenant Show.
New lunchtime hour on the Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing as number one sports station 97.3 The Fan. Brazil scored in
No. Why are you going to ruin the whole World Cupdate, dude? Come on.
No, I can because it's live. There's no.
Bruh.
People have Twitter, dude. They probably know what the score is. Brazil's up 2-1.
If you're using Twitter while driving in your car, stop doing that.
Brazil is up 2-1. They scored in the final seconds. Now they're still playing though with the extra stoppage time. They're in the 90 or the 100th minute now. Japan with a little bit of a boost right there. We'll see what they decide to do. But Brazil scored the 95th minute.
Yep.
Brutal. We'll see if Japan can sneak a goal through here as they allow them to play a little bit longer. But as that happens, we need to know what happened over the weekend. Let's get to our World Cupdate.
This guy just
I can't believe you're saying spoiler on a live sporting event.
Ruin the whole thing.
Oh, really? Because that was part of your cup date today.
Yeah.
Not all these groups that you had on here Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
God. It's the big news. It's the big finale, the big finish to it.
That's not really. Not when everybody's watching it at the same time.
All right, so Friday, we're still in the group stages for Friday and Saturday. France and Norway were playing to see who was going to be the number one seed. Well, it was France. Dembele scoring a hat trick for France in the first half. They go on to win 4-1. Senegal defeats Iraq 5-0. Senegal, a huge win for them as far as goal differential. It does put them through to the round of 32. Group H, Uruguay is out after losing to Spain. That, however, is not the big news. Congratulations to Cape Verde, who make it through after a 0-0 draw against Saudi Arabia. 3 draws for Cape Verde. Congratulations to CJ Dos Santos and company as they head to the knockout round. Good for them. Group G, Egypt drawing with Iran. Now that would become very, very big later on in the weekend with a 1-1 draw. Belgium defeating New Zealand 5-1. 4 different goal scorers for Belgium on Friday. Saturday, Croatia defeating Ghana 2-1 in Group L. England defeating Panama 2-0. Panama, the only nation in this year's World Cup to have not scored an goal. That is not good.
No, you probably need to score goals.
Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane were the 2 goal scorers, 5 minutes apart, by the way, in Group L. Group K, Portugal and Colombia draw 0-0. Congo and Uzbekistan. Congo taking a 3-1 win, but the nightcap was where everything went crazy. Argentina defeated Jordan 3-1, which, as expected, Lionel Messi did get a goal. Lautaro Martinez scoring on a penalty kick. But it wasn't that game in Group J that had everyone going crazy. It was the other one. Algeria versus Austria. Remember how I told you that Iran draw was significant?
Yes.
If Austria won or drew, because of goal differential, Austria would get the 2nd seed in Group J and Iran would make it through. If Algeria won, that means both Austria and Algeria would make it through out of Group J on goal differential. And in the 93rd minute, we had an answer.
Eugenis, ball flicked in. Check it. Whoa, that was
Algeria scoring, making it 3-2 in the 90th minute +3. The very next touch of the ball, Austria goes back the other way.
That fell asleep.
We'll see what else they have.
Ball played across, headed back across the face. It's tied again! You're kidding me!
Austria goes back level in the 90th minute +6. The game ends very shortly after. Austria and Iran go through to the knockout stage. Speaking of the knockout stage, we had our first match of the knockout stage yesterday, Canada versus South Africa. And just like this game between Brazil and Japan, it looked like it was going to extra time until it wasn't.
Canadian Schaffelberg, way by Ocon, on the strike to Miyazaki!
Stefan Eustachio scoring with in the 90th minute +2, giving Canada the win. They will advance to the round of 16. 1-0, South Africa done. Brazil, Japan. As we were watching, Japan got to a 1-0 lead with a goal in the 29th minute. Casemiro scoring in the 56th minute. And then just as we went to break, Gabriel Martinelli called game.
Down that right-hand side. Cut back and not taking advantage of it. Tanaka's given the ball away there. Bruno Guimaraes. Oh, and here's a chance. Martinelli! Brazil have won it! They've stolen it right at the death! Brazil are going through!
All of those calls thanks to Fox Sports. Brazil knocks out Japan in a game that they really looked like they were in trouble. 2-1. So South Africa and Japan are out. Canada and Brazil go through to the round of 16. Coming up a little bit later on today, in an hour and a half, will be Germany versus Paraguay. They will be playing in Boston. And the Netherlands will take on Morocco in the nightcap. That'll be a 6 p.m. kick. All games from here on out are going to be on Fox.
Thank you for the update, the Cupdate.
Thank you.
So those are today's games. Now, the games coming up tomorrow are, that would be June 30th, right?
Yes.
Ivory Coast and Norway, and the winner of that one will play Brazil in the round of 16. Mexico plays Ecuador tomorrow as well. That's the 6 o'clock game, the night game. Ivory Coast and Norway is the 10 a.m. game. And then the last game on there is France and Sweden will be the afternoon game tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And they will play the winner of this game, Germany and Paraguay, who are playing today. And you said Netherlands and Morocco play tonight.
Yes.
The winner of that will play Canada in the round of 16 after the Canadians took down South Africa yesterday. So
that is a huge, by the way, round of 16 potential. Germany versus France could be a final. And
right.
We're going to see that in the round of 16 again. Paraguay is going to play in Paraguay. Germany is going to be in Boston. Netherlands, Morocco is going to be in Monterrey. That game between Canada and the winner of Netherlands, Morocco is going to be in Houston, where I believe they were just in Houston for Brazil, Japan.
Are you going to acknowledge what Juan in the YouTube chat wants you to acknowledge?
Nope. Ivory Coast, Norway tomorrow will be in Dallas. Mexico, Ecuador will be in Mexico City. And then France, Sweden will be in New York. New York, New Jersey. Sorry, FIFA. My bad.
Do you think people are staying in the Garden State or Manhattan that are going to this?
Probably, if they have any knowledge of what's good for them, they're probably staying in Manhattan.
Team USA plays on Wednesday.
Yes.
They will have the 5 o'clock game again Bosnia-Herzegovina. A winner of that will play Belgium and Senegal on July 6th. How many 4th of July? We have one game on the 4th of July, it looks like. 2. Canada versus the winner of Netherlands and Morocco, and then the pairing of Germany, Paraguay, France, and Sweden. Be on the 4th of July. Who's got the most favorable side of the bracket?
That's actually a really if France can get through Germany, their only real competition after that is Spain, who they'll meet in the semis if they get that far. France is looking really, really good. Argentina also looks good. I think it's going to be. So here's how I have the quarterfinals mapped out. I'm thinking Germany, Netherlands. I'm going to take Germany, Morocco, Spain, U.S., Brazil, Mexico.
This is
Brazil.
For your quarterfinal?
Yeah, for the quarterfinal. Brazil, England, Argentina, Switzerland. That would be the quarters. So in that case, I'd probably say the final, my guess would be Argentina versus France would be my guess.
All right. Those are Frank's picks. You can do that on Kalshi. Promo code BSERP.
We're going to do that on the break, though, the commercial break video.
When we come back, it seems like Manny Machado is starting to heat up a little bit. We'll talk about the Padres offense that was over the weekend, as well as moving into this week, a very important week against the Chicago Cubs. More to come. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station, 97 to the Fan. 12:18 on a Monday. Getting you through the day today. Tough weekend for the Padres, but they go 4-2 on the homestand. This is the most important series right now, is against the Chicago Cubs. They have to take 2 out of 3 to split the season series with Chicago. And with being 2 games behind them in the wild card standings and a half game out of a wild card spot, this is the series that is more important. This one over the one against the Cubs. The one against the Dodgers. Now, you finally got to see some offense out of the Padres. You saw it on Friday. Saw Manny Machado heat up yesterday some more. Machado's season-long numbers remain poor, but his recent performance is encouraging. Since June 9th, as we are here on June 29th, he has 17 hits, 13 extra base hits, multiple games with multiple extra base hits, team-leading 15 home runs. The question is, was the slow start injury-related, mechanical, age-related? Does it really matter? Right now, Machado looks closer to the player San Diego expected, which in turn definitely helps the offense a little bit. Fernando Tatis Jr. continues to look like a superstar. He extended his on-base streak to 21 games. He hit a ball at 112 miles an hour through the infield yesterday. He has 57 balls hit 105 plus miles an hour this season, third most in Major League Baseball, has 20 of those in his last 21 games. And during the streak, he's hitting .318 with a .365 on-base percentage and a .477 slug. Remains the engine of this offense. Now, the only one that hasn't really started to heat up right now, and, Xander Bogaerts was good at the beginning of the year. He hasn't been good as of late. He is walking a lot more. He's being patient at the plate, so he's finding his way as much as he can. But Jackson Merrill looked like he was about to break out. He hit 300 with an .834 OPS over a 10-game stretch, and his strikeouts decreased. But then he hit 167 during the 6-game homestand and struck out 10 times. What do we think the problem is with Jackson Merrill, Frank? This is a guy that his rookie year was really good. Last year he battled some injuries, but right now in 2026, he's just a guy that cannot find it consistently. And we've seen the 10 games the 10-game stretch hitting 300, .834 OPS, not striking out a lot. And then you see what happened on this homestand, a 167 average, striking out 10 times. It's been a lot of up and down with Jackson Merrill this year, and unfortunately more down than up.
Yeah, he's been an interesting case. We know the talent that he has from his rookie season. And last year you can kind of overlook last year because it was such an up and down season. It was up and down because it was start-stop because he kept getting hurt. He hasn't had those problems this year. He just straight up has not been a good hitter. He's been fantastic in the field. His defense is absolutely still there. But for whatever reason on offense, it has not clicked, whether he has not made an adjustment to Major League pitching after they figured him out or whatever the case may be. He has not been good on offense. And it's really, really one of the more surprising parts of this team this season.
It has been surprising, but at least he's his defense has been spectacular.
Oh yeah, it's been fantastic. Yes, and
he's good on the bases. He's doing everything he can to contribute. But my thing here is, and this is where it gets frustrating, and this is why social media is such a waste of time. It's how many did you see on social media at all this weekend? Was it your week to watch X? Probably not.
No.
How many people wanted to get rid of Jackson Merrill right now?
Oh God!
And it's I get it's everybody. I got DMs going is he actually a star? I don't think he's a star. He ruined this organization, taking all this money. It's can everybody just take a deep breath for a second? Do we have to do this every day? Is this what we have to do every single day? Every day they lose, we're gonna have to listen to this BS. I guys don't have to. I can just not go on social media. I should just do that. It's just so much nonsense on there. It's the guy took a team-friendly deal. You signed him early, right? You wanted to keep the young talent early. Everything this organization does fans go like, oh, this is great. And then as soon as you have a little bit of adversity or it doesn't look like it's perfect, it is, let's pull the plug on this and redo the entire roster. And we got to go get young players. And, we got to develop better starting pitchers. And we got to do this. That's like, how about you just wait for the season to play out? I mean, Jackson Merrill, he's not having a good year. But to me, Frank, it would be catastrophically stupid to give up on a player who's 22 after what has been an injury-plagued season last year and just a half of a season this year of him not being at an elite level. It's like, what do we do? We just like to spew nonsense just to spew nonsense. I'm going to spew nonsense and see if anybody thinks I'm important. I don't get it.
I say give up, just do it. Just give up on him. That's it. Over. Done. All right.
Seriously.
Wash the hands
with
him.
Could you imagine if the Padres did that for it was so funny. Last week on the roundtable, what it would say is if we listen to my decisions as I emotionally cut guys, we'd only have 3 guys left on the roster.
Yeah.
They're not going to play great all the time. I don't know how many times we have to have that conversation, but Jackson Merrill, he's struggling this year. I think he's getting overzealous on a lot of pitches. I mean, he's swinging out of his shoes on a lot of pitches that probably shouldn't. Right, he needs to be a little bit more patient. They have pass. I think that is part of the not trusting necessarily the guys around you. I talked about that in my open today about what the Dodgers did in that one inning against Michael King. In fact, they're showing it right now on MLB Central. Walk, bunt out, hit by a pitch, walk in a run, and then the double to the gap or whatever it was by Mookie Betts that scored 2 runs. That team passes the baton to the next guy. They will walk. They don't have to be the guy. They have patient at-bats, and that eventually leads to an opportunity for a ball to get leaked over the heart of the plate. Mookie Betts capitalizing on it. You could do that a lot, though, when you trust the guys around you. And again, this Padres team, I think Manny Machado's starting to turn it around. I think Fernando is really showing that, why he is a star. It'd be nice for him to hit more home runs, I know, from a lot of people that want to, add to that narrative. But this is a team that, as assembled, is still right there for the wild card. And I don't want to tell people hey, everything's fine, because it's not, because the starting pitching has not been good. And the bullpen is taking on too much of this, and the offense is getting better, but they're getting better in a slow way. I just it's interesting. The Kevin Acee wrote this in his newsletter today, and I totally agree with it. It was why Padres fans should be feel both optimistic and nervous is kind of the biggest takeaway from the newsletter today. I mean, reasons for optimism for this team as we are the halfway mark, just past the halfway mark. So, they lost they're 0-2 in the second half, if you will, I think, or just maybe it's just 0-1. I can't remember. Was game 81 Saturday?
Yes.
Okay. So they're 0-1 in the second half so far. Which is, by the way, 1 game off. Their first 81 games, they were a game. They have 1 less win this year, the first 81 games, than they did last year.
It's too many. Blow it up.
Blow it up. Trade everybody.
Yep. It's over. So Jover right now.
So here are the reasons for optimism for Padres fans, if you will. Padres have historically been a strong second half team. I think a lot of that too has to do with the fact that the trade deadline, the team they look drastically different. Similar pace the rest of the way would put them at 87 wins. But here's the other thing too, Frank. Before you drift into sarcasm, let's pull you back into normal terms here.
I just want that one Padre fan to be does he think he's funny doing this? This is what we get. This is what we see. This is what you guys do. Like, no, I don't think I'm being funny. I'm showing you what you guys sound like, most of you. And if you don't find it entertaining, then you should probably look inward and say,
maybe I'm the guy that's saying this stuff.
Maybe I'm the common denominator here.
Okay. Before I continue with the reasons for optimism, when you get to the trade deadline, who are teams that buy?
Teams that are over 500.
Not just that. Teams that are
competitive.
In contention.
Yeah.
Right? In contention. Everybody just assumes that this team is just going to eventually turn into nothing because that's just how we are as Padres fans. Just waiting for it to crash and burn, which I think if you have that mentality, you are always going to crash and burn. So that's another topic for another day. But if they play at this pace that they have been playing at the entire season, they're going to win about 87 games. Like, is that a guarantee in the playoff spot? No. But you know what that means, Frank? It means you're probably in contention for a wild card. Which, if you're in contention for a wild card, that makes you a buyer at the deadline because you cannot afford to not capitalize any year you have a chance at making the playoffs, because once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. So yeah, they got some problems they got to deal with, but they're fixable problems. Adding a starting pitcher would be huge here. Maybe adding another bat would be huge here. Getting some guys back from injury would be huge. There's still a lot to go. We've played 82 games, and we have 80 more to go. That's a lot of baseball. So, again, reasons for optimism. The Padres have historically been a second-half team. A similar pace the rest of the way through their first 82 games that they have played would put them around 87 wins, which is likely enough to compete for a wild card spot. All of your key hitters have started to show signs of life. Manny Machado has regained his status as the team's most dangerous hitter as of late. People are afraid of him. Fernando Tatis Jr. continues to impact games. Xander Bogaerts has started producing more consistently again. The front office has roughly 5 weeks before the trade deadline to address weaknesses. And here's the other thing, too. It's not like this organization hasn't done well at addressing problems and then finding solutions to said problems. They've been pretty creative in bringing in talent at the trade deadline. That doesn't mean it's always going to work, but this team's going to look different on August 4th. I almost firmly believe that at this point in the year.
Here's a fun question that comes in from Sam in the chat. Sam in the chat asks, we're not winning the World Series. What's the point in buying?
It's so dumb. Then why even play the games the rest of the way? Why would you even watch the games if that's the case? Here's the other thing too, is and I hate this. I hate this attitude. The attitude of, what's the matter? We're not gonna win the World Series. We're not the best team ever. Let's punt to next year where it's gonna be better. Are you kidding me? What does that ever work? It's like, where's your competitiveness? I mean, at that point, it's like, why do you even watch? Like, I just don't get it.
That's why we don't.
Why do you think it's just going to be better next year? Let's just trade away as many players as possible. The Padres used to do that. They used to sell this dream of, these next up and coming guys are going to be so great. And then they're not. And then it's just an endless cycle of playing for that next year, that future year. You have to strike while you're in contention. Otherwise, you're just like you're just like a lot of these teams that constantly go we tried our best and then we traded. It's okay, fans. We got some great young prospects coming up the way. Come on. Now, reasons for concern with this team, of course, there's a lot. Starting rotation is starting to show similarities to 2021. That was not fun. 2021, San Diego entered the second half with a strong playoff position. The collapse was fueled largely by a rotation breakdown. Bullpen was forced to absorb too many innings and eventually wore down. And the current situation is slightly different. I mean, AJ Preller has more time to make moves. Pitching coach Ruben Niebla is more creative and willing to adapt than what your pitching coach was in 2021. And Craig Stammen has more flexibility managing pitching usage as somebody that understands what it's like to be in the bullpen. The biggest issue still remains, though, for this team. Nobody in the front office or coaching staff can throw a baseball. The starters still have to execute. And that's the thing, too, Frank, is I just feel like, just to kind of wrap this segment up before we move on to the next before we go to commercial break. Eventually, you have to win with the guys that you have. You can't always just pull the plug on something and just redo your roster.
No.
You can't have success doing that.
Mm-mm.
We talked about the starting rotation being a problem. We talked about, some of the fixes that could be for it. But let's talk about what has made Walker Buehler so good and why he was so good on Friday and whether or not he is the ace of the staff. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. 12:40 on a Monday. Paraguay and Germany will get underway in about 50 minutes for game 2 of the 3 games today in the World Cup. We will have Padres baseball on at 5:05. Is that an 05 start? That's a 5:05 start. Equator SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt will be at 4:05. Griffin, Canning, Shota, Imanaga. The pitching staff obviously has not been very good for this Padres team. One pitcher that has been good is Walker Buehler. He has been great. He has been the Padres' most reliable starters in 2026. And with a clear June surge that has turned him into something close to an ace, or at least a very steady mid-rotation arm with upside, his overall line through 16 starts is 5-3 with a 3.81 ERA, a 1.31 WHIP, and 70 strikeouts. That's pretty solid for a 31-year-old coming off of a rough 2025 and multiple injury recoveries. But the real story here is obviously the growth and adaptation of Walker Buehler. Early season, he was very inconsistent with flashes. Strong outings mixed with rough ones. I mean, he had the 6 shutout inning with 4 strikeouts on April 11th. He also had 7 strikeouts and 2 earned runs on April 17th. But his struggles also included a 2 2/3 inning and 4 earned run outing versus Colorado, a 5 1/3 inning, 4 earned run start in early May. Walks were an issue at times, and he was still building consistency and stamina after signing with San Diego. But if you look at his pitch mix, it was very experimental because he was trying to reinvent himself. Spring training showed up to 7 pitches for Walker Buehler. Results were meh. But as he adjusted to the new organization, as he adjusted to the player that he was, or the player he needed to be, new catchers were finding his arsenal post-injury. He has now led to a June renaissance. 5 starts, 1.71 ERA, and this is where things have clicked right now for Walker Buehler. Consistently low run outings with good strikeout totals. He had 5 strikeouts in 5 innings, 7 strikeouts in 5 innings, 5 strikeouts in 5 innings, 4 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings, and 5 strikeouts in 5 1/3 versus the Dodgers back on Friday. He has limited hard contact. I mean, the Dodgers on Friday made very little hard contact outside of Mookie Betts' home run, which is the only mistake that Walker had all day, and that was a wall scraper home run to left field. He has had better efficiency, he has better command, and he has now been one of the more dependable arms in the rotation that has needed it. Obviously, with injuries to Musgrove and Pivetta, struggles from King and Vásquez. But what has made him so good and the growth trajectory of Walker Buehler has been, well, a couple of things. His arsenal shift. Arsenal, Frank. You going to acknowledge Arsenal or his arsenal?
Nope.
Nope. All right, moving on. He has now made the cutter as his signature pitch. That's been the biggest change. Buehler himself said in June, quote, "I think that cutter has become more and more my signature pitch." And in the start against the Dodgers, the cutter is his primary fastball.
I heard this during the Apple TV broadcast, and I'm pretty sure it's been said here. I just forgot and didn't retain the information. But if you were listening to the Apple broadcast on Friday night, they were saying that part of the reason why he hasn't felt pain in his elbow this season is because he got a root canal done.
Excuse me?
There's a nerve in your jaw that goes like down your arm into your elbow. So it goes all over. And one of the places it stops is your elbow. So he got some sort of root canal or tooth removed. And that was when the pain in his elbow stopped, was after he got that.
It's like one of those pressure points that works out.
That was wild. I heard that. I'm like,
excuse me?
Yeah, wait, hold on. Double take?
I agree with Nate. Stay off the internet, Frank.
It's not stay off the internet. It was on the broadcast.
Are you watching the broadcast with a tinfoil hat? I kid.
Wayne Randazzo said it on the
there
broadcast
it
for
is.
Apple TV.
There it is.
What do you
His boy
mean?
Wayne Randazzo said it. Therefore, come on.
If it was Joe Davis that said it, I would be like, yeah, he said it. Like, what do you mean? There's no tinfoil hat involved.
I believe it. I don't think it's false.
Like I said, that might have been said earlier this season, and I just either missed it or just didn't retain the information.
It could be a coincidence too, but I mean, I'm sure it leads to it. Anyway, he has made the cutter his signature pitch. He threw that it's coming in about 90.5 miles an hour, which is an uptick in the velo from what it usually has been at least on Friday it was, which is no surprise going against his former team. Strong 10.6 inch induced vertical break. He threw 23 cutters. And he had a 39% called strike whiff rate on that pitch, Frank. I mean, we've been breaking down the pitchers all season long, mostly on bad outings than anything else, but 39% called strike whiff rate, solid stuff plus of a 109 on this cutter, good whiff potential. I mean, at the beginning of spring training, it was the four-seam fastball, was not high in terms of velocity. And what was he going to do? He had some movement to it with a cutter, and you know what? It's not coming in super hot, but he's getting a lot of swing and miss out of it.
No, exactly. He's become a thinking man's pitcher, which is fantastic. And I will hold my hand up and say that I was wrong. I thought that there would be a time where he would get into a pinch this season and just try to rear back and throw one the way he used to. He has not done that. He has been very, very good, very composed, and he's stayed within the new pitcher that he has become. He has learned how to figure out ways to get out of things without having, one, the speed, and two, if he doesn't have a certain pitch one day, he's figured out how to work around it and work backwards through at bats and try to figure out the best way that he can incorporate his other pitches. So he has seen a pure career renaissance at this point, and it's been incredibly fun to watch, to the point where, yeah, I would say, especially the last half of his starts, if he's made 14 starts this year, the last 7 have been really, really fun to watch.
They have. And again, like, I think we get lost in this day and age of baseball where every pitcher has to throw 98 plus, which again, we know that the radar's different. It's not how it crosses the plate. It's now out of the hand. But if you either throw above the hitting speed or below the hitting speed, both work. And if you got movement and you can locate, makes it difficult to deal with. You don't have to throw 98 every single time. But to go back to that was the second thing that has been a big reason why he has done so well, his command and walk rate improvement. His walk per 9 is down to 3 for the season, which is much better than his 2025 struggles when it was north of 4. His locations grades have improved. He had a C overall on Friday in terms of his location against right-handed batters. But, fewer free passes, better sequencing, less damage, and this shows up in cleaner June lines and higher called strike whiff rates than we have seen so far this year. But that's half the battle. And that's why I think, with the starting rotation, a lot of the problems for this starting rotation, Frank, are not stuff. It's locating.
Yes.
The biggest problem with Griffin Canning is what? His command and his locations. The problem with Randy Vásquez right now is command and locations. He was locating at the beginning of the year. He was doing well. Griffin Canning, when he locates, does well. These are things that are fixable with the pitching staff that this coaching staff is, that this is stuff that they can fix. It's not, let's drastically change the roster, I think. And I think Walker Buehler is a living proof of that. Again, like, Padres fans wanted this guy cut in like April. Oh, we got to keep Marquez and Waldron. Well, good thing they didn't do that.
Good thing, huh?
We seem to be saying that a lot about people getting cut on this team. That's why we have the saying on the show, right but too early.
Mm-hmm.
Make that into a t-shirt. Let's talk about his stuff, whiffs, and limiting contact. The PLV page that we use that evaluates starting pitchers, gives the grade a B for Stuff in his latest start on Friday. He's generating a lot of swing and misses, like we talked about with his cutter. 5 whiffs in 5 1/3 innings on Friday. 10 whiffs on 46 swings in an earlier June outing per MLB.com. Breaking balls on slider and sweeper and the cutter are doing work. Overall, he's pitching the contact more effectively while still missing bats. And it's a smart evolution for a vet who may not have the same peak velo every outing. Again, we've talked about this ad nauseum. He has reinvented himself multiple times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Better offseason shape. He's putting himself in better offseason shape this past offseason. His velo is stabilizing and building, which is encouraging based on the reports that we got in spring on the velo being up on multiple pitches in June. The mental edge is real. I mean, new team, fresh start, clear motivation against his old club on Friday. And his quotes after the game, I want to kick everyone's butt. I certainly don't want to lose to them. He shows that fire each and every night he goes out to pitch. And he went 6-1 with a 1.80 ERA in 12 starts versus the Padres while he was a member of the Dodgers. Now he's 1-0 the other way, specifically to Friday night's game. Again, cutter heavy usage, little hard contact otherwise. Stammen pulled him after back-to-back 3-0 counts. And that's where kind of Walker gets into trouble there in the 5th inning. I thought he could go into the 6th inning, or I thought he'd go 6 innings and then leak into the 7th and not get out of it. It was a little bit early, but when he starts to get tired, he starts to miss all over the place, and we've seen that now in the 5th and 6th inning in most of his outings, which, that's the difference between him being, like an ace or in like the top part of the rotation and being a middle relief guy. I think he has the ability to do it, but he gets wild late. He gets wild late. So small sample June heater. But I think Walker Buehler has shown that he has been your best pitcher, and as of late, he has. And this is like the importance of getting Michael King and Randy Vásquez and some of these guys back to what you would expect them to be. Is you got a guy like Walker Buehler who's supposed to be your 5 going into the season, pitching like a 2 or 3. If I told you that at the beginning of the season, you'd been like, "Wow, this rotation's nasty." Mm-hmm. Because we were hoping he would do 5 innings and give up 4 or less. That's what you wanted out of a number 5 starter. He's done way better than that. He's done more than has been asked of him. But unfortunately for the Padres, they got guys in front of them that haven't done their job. And that affects the starting rotation. It's affected the bullpen. I mean, where would this starting rotation be right now without Walker Buehler, especially in the month of June?
This is one where I would actually really consider if he does another month of this, I would consider signing him to an extension. I wouldn't even let him get out to free agency. I would try to lock him in for at least a couple more years, be your 3 or 4 starter. And if he's your number 5 starter, that's even better because that means you've got a couple of great guys coming up. So yeah, if this continues, I would be really concerned about him going into free agency because he'd most likely be gone.
And here's the thing, for everybody that wants to talk about the negative signings that AJ Preller's had, they got Walker Buehler for $1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes it checks out. I mean, I know Griffin Canning hasn't been great. They got him for $2.5 million. I mean, where are you going to find any type of pitcher for $2.5 million? They basically don't exist unless they are guys that went through your organization. And even those guys are not necessarily putting up massive numbers right now. I mean, I think it was Go Aztecs in the chat. So the Rangers are picking up, Marco Gonzalez and Chris Paddock and stuff like that. It's like
Braves just re-signed Cookie Carrasco for the 5th time this year.
I mean, those guys are not putting up as good of numbers. They're putting up numbers that are like as good as Griffin Canning. They're not even like great. I mean, Giolito got $2.7 million. Honestly, it leads to a question of I know you got to figure out the rotation this year. You got to figure out the rotation next year. We could talk about it when we come back, but who is going to pitch for the Padres next year? That's an even more reason to trade for a starting pitcher at the deadline, regardless if you're a buyer or a seller. Talk about it next. 1 o'clock on a Monday. Padres and Cubs coming up later on this afternoon. It's a 5:05 first pitch. It's a 4:05 EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're on each and every day from 10 to 2. We will be on today and tomorrow. Wednesday, we got Padres baseball during our time slot. Thursday, we will have the morning show, and then we will have our show. Word for word. It'll be fun on Thursday into a holiday weekend. Hopefully the Padres have a good start to their road trip. Now, we were talking about the starting rotation. Obviously, it needs to be fixed this year before you can start talking about next year. And you're getting value. And Frank brought up the question of, or the statement. I would sign Walker Buehler right now before he gets extended or before he hits free agency. And the interesting thing about the Padres for next year is you don't really know who's going to be in that rotation. Whether or not you would sign a guy like Walker Buehler to an extension. Now, there's other factors too, like in-season extension. Is this enough of a sample size to warrant bringing him back? I mean, a lot of the times it's like, thanks for the memories. But, Griffin Canning's a free agent at the end of the year. I don't think any Padres fans really going to be upset if they let him go. Armand Marquez, free agent at the end of the year. Walker Buehler, free agent at the end of the year. Kyle Hart, free agent end of the year. Lucas Giolito, free agent end of the year. Some of those players have mutual options or club options. Kyle Hart's got a club option. Everybody else has mutual options. Who else? Nick Pivetta can opt out after 2026. Now, what's interesting about that is that opt-out that he has, if he misses 100 and something game, I forget what it is.
August 21st.
But basically all you need to know is we did that math when he got hurt the first time. And if he does not come back before August 21st, that option turns into a club option. And the Padres can decide whether or not they want to pick up the $14 million on Nick Pivetta's contract or not. Joe Musgrove, I mean, he's another guy. He will be in his final season next year at $20 million. Michael King has a player option for next year. Michael King's making $17 million this year. He's going to make $28 million next year. Like, is Michael King going to opt out? Like, is he going to not take his player option for next year? I mean, there's so many players that are not taking options when they go into next year that have already announced that are already making a lot of money that aren't even like playing to the value. So you go through that entire roster right now for the Padres. The only guys that are coming back are JP Sears and Randy Vásquez in that starting rotation. So before we talk about what you need to do at the deadline for a second, let's talk about the Walker Buehler situation, right? Because he's been your best player the last month, but he would have to keep this up. And as Frank said, if he keeps it up, then maybe we'll have the conversation. I will say this too. So on FanGraphs, you can look players. They have so many different things you could do, but on FanGraphs, you can go to league leaders and you can go to pitchers, and they have value. And what the value is, it's a lot of it based on WAR and what have you, but they have the value in dollars, which is WAR converted to a dollar scale based on what a player would make in free agency, which I find very interesting. Because again, and to be honest, it'd be something to look at for like guys like Bo Bichette that already said he was going to opt out. But Michael King right now, if you had to guess, Frank, so try to be one off here, but if you had to guess, Michael King is actually ranked, he is the best pitcher, I think, for the Padres according to WAR, if you will, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to find players on here for the Padres, and the first guy that pops up for them is Michael King. And Michael King is according to WAR, the 39th best pitcher in Major League Baseball. What do you think his value would be in dollars for that?
What is he getting paid now?
This year he's accounting for $25 million towards the luxury tax. He is technically getting $17 million this year because he's got those player options for the next two.
14.
Not bad. According to Fangraphs, his value as a free agent, if you like with these numbers, would be $10 million a year. Like, is that something that?
Where did you find this? Because I do want to see what Bichette's would be.
Fangraphs.com/leaders.
Leaders.
Yeah, it should be like Major League. They'll have the time frames on there you can go for or whatever, and then you could like sort it based on value. If you click on the value tab.
Oh, okay.
And then on the far right it says dollars because it says like Michael King's WAR right now is like a 1.3, if you will. And I think these are only for players that qualify on this particular list. So I will try to find. I couldn't find. Let's. I get because innings pitched like Walker Buehler does not qualify, if you will, because he hasn't gotten deep enough into games, I guess. But he's not on this list. So that's why I'm gonna find it real quick because the status remains like who are you gonna get for whatever.
Bo Bichette is doing $8.6 million worth of value for a $42 million deal.
That's crazy. All right, I did it based on 70 starts for.
Well, that's as a hitter. As a hitter, he's at $8.6 million worth of value.
That's crazy.
That's yeah. Slight overpay.
Slight overpay.
Very minor. Very minor overpay. Slightly missed the mark. Juan Soto's $21 million. Carson Bench, 10.5. I'll take that.
Are you just doing the Mets now?
Well, no, these are the only ones that are here. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, if you want to check that out,
do the Padres.
It's on whatever. I had to put a new qualifier in there. Michael King's the only one that qualifies for a pitcher. $10.3 million. The only other two that I put in at least 70 innings pitched. Walker Buehler and Randy Vásquez are on there. Based on their WAR. Okay, so this is, they have multiple. They have runs above replacement, RAR, and they have wins above replacement, WAR, and they have wins above replacement calculating using runs allowed. They have the balls in play, or they have the BABIP wins above average. They have all these metrics, but essentially they competed to they analyze what the guy's done with analytics and tell you what the value is. Out of those three pitchers, who do you think is the highest value? It's pretty simple.
Between which the King, Vásquez, and Buehler?
Correct. Buehler, how much do you think he'd be worth?
If King is doing $10 million right now, I would say probably about 12 to 13.
Yeah, $12.5 million. So, like, is Walker Buehler, like, do you think yeah, we do have roster moves. We'll get to that in a second. Do you think Walker Buehler would sign for $12.5 million?
No.
Like, what do you think he would sign for? I mean, because, they get numbers like this, too. They probably bump him up. I mean, maybe $18 million?
Based off of his production this year, and from the number that I am seeing right now, do you think Manny Machado would sign for $6 million?
$6 million? No, probably not. This is I mean, honestly, like, this is the argument for like the salary cap too. It's like a lot of these guys are not getting paid to what they're worth, and a lot of these guys are definitely not even close to that. They have negative on here, by the way.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did know that because I saw a couple Mets in the negatives.
Then the negatives, they're like, actually, dude, if you want to play for us, you have to pay us money.
Yeah, you owe us money.
Out of the starting pitchers that have pitched at least 70 innings on here, Zach Littell, who, by the way, was a free agent last year. Wasn't he a guy like available at the deadline last year?
Yes, he was.
Zach Littell.
He was a guy who was available at the deadline. He lasted a long time in free agency. Apparently, he owes some money now.
If Zach Littell's worth is negative $7.7 million.
Oh,
Hey, Zach, if you want to pitch for the Washington Nationals, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. How about Merrill Kelly? He's had a rough year.
That was a guy who I honestly would not have been upset if the Padres got. How much money does he owe?
He would owe $5.7 million to the organization based on his value. How much do you think Randy Vásquez on this pay scale? It's just based on your WAR. How much he'd be worth? Because he's getting like league minimum right now.
So he's in the positive.
He is in the positive, yeah. There are no Padres on this pitching list. That
$5 million.
$3 million.
I was going to say 3.
Here's one that's fun for you. Jacob Mizorowski. Based on value.
Jesus.
He's ranked the highest. He's got a 4.3 WAR. Based on the value of WAR, what his annual salary would be. What it would go for on the open market if he was a free agent at the end of the year.
25.
34. $34 million a year. Christopher Sanchez, $30.9 million. Cam Schlittler, $23.9. Braxton Ashcraft, $23.6 million. Reed Detmers, $23.5. Dylan Cease, $23.3 million is what he's worth.
I need money with actually a somewhat decent offer. I would say
Walker Buehler?
For Walker Buehler, 2 years, 28 with a third option, with a player option for the third year.
I mean, at this point, I am never really a believer on because he had a good year, you must bring him back. Like the Kyle Higashiokas, the Gary Sanchez's of the world, the Hassan Kim. Like
he's having a good year through a complete career overhaul, though.
I know, but like giving out contracts to aging veterans is never that great. The rock and a hard place here, though, for this, though, is like you can never have too much pitching. And so it's, do you bring this guy back for XYZ when you don't necessarily know who you got coming back, right? Does Michael King take his player option? Joe Musgrove made it sound like he probably would, but like, does he take his player option? Like, that's an interesting one. Like, $28 million is not overly crazy, but he's not performing up to that level.
No.
But that doesn't mean somebody wouldn't give him that. He also talked about like starting his family here and like being here. I mean, that goes a long way too. Like, how much is it worth going on the open market for a couple extra $1 million? Like, that's the other question too when it comes to this. But there's no guarantee he's coming back. Joe Musgrove, same thing. He's not even back yet this year. Nick Pivetta, we talked about him. What is he going to do at this point? You have two pitchers on the under the relative with no other caveats of opt-outs. You have three pitchers that could come back next year. Joe Musgrove, who's under contract for another year. Randy Vásquez, who's under control forever because he's in pre-arb still. He's getting $808,000. And JP Sears, who starts arbitration next year. Those are the only three guys. It's interesting. I don't know what you would have to spend to keep a guy like Walker Buehler. And you know what I wouldn't do? Wouldn't start asking him about it right now in the middle of June when he's got a 1.17 ERA.
No, I would not.
Whatever
Absolutely
it is, 1.74, whatever it is. I'll wait for him to come back down to earth a little bit. Hey, Walker, you like staying here?
Aaron McHugh in the chat has a problem with you saying just a couple extra $1 million, leaving for just a couple extra $1 million. As we explained on the show, when you're making $25 million,
it doesn't even at that point.
How does your life change if you go from making $25 million to making $28 million? How does your life change at that point?
No, but here's the thing: it would be the difference because he could take the player option for $28 million, or he could potentially go out there for like 29, 30. I know, but like at that point, because $17 million to $28 million is a big gap. Right? Mm-hmm. It's a bigger jump. But even then, like we're talking about, if you're making more north of $20 million a year, just in the grand scheme of things, what does your lifestyle change at all? Your lifestyle doesn't change at all. No. It's just and I'm not saying he shouldn't try to make more money, but it gets to a point of hey, I get a couple extra million. Like, let's just say he leaves for like an extra $3 million. When you start to factor in the tax bracket of all of this, unless he goes to a state that doesn't have state income tax, when it's all said and done, it's a minuscule addition to go to a new organization, learn a bunch of new people, like move your family, all of that for what? Maybe like $1 million when it's all said and done? Based off taxes at that, but that tax bracket's high. I mean, you're way above the top 1% of earners in the United States at that point in time. At that point, it's like, do I want to leave for this amount of more money? It's not that much more in the grand scheme. Your life does not change. Your lifestyle doesn't change. It really doesn't. What I find funny, though, it's the people that go like this, right? They go, you know what? That means a huge amount. It's like an extra whatever. But then they get upset when people that own things want to make more money. It's like, hang on. You either are all for everybody making more money or you're not. Like, there's no picking and choosing who you want to make more money. It's just, that stuff is nonsense to me. But if you're Michael King, the decision is, how much extra are you going to get over the player option that you might be able to take? And is that amount of money worth moving your family and doing all this stuff? It could be. Maybe it is. But who's to say? Like, would I do that? I don't know. If I was making $28 million and it turns to $30 million or $31 million, I mean, I don't want to do math on the radio, but how much of that do I keep? It's not like I keep the whole.
Stopped us before.
It's not like I keep the whole $3 million. After I have to pay Uncle Sam and whatever state I'm in on everything else, I have to buy a new house. How much extra money did I make? A couple extra $100,000, maybe $1 million, right? When it's all said and done, my lifestyle's not changing. I might as well just stay where I'm at. That's why it's so great to get like the breath of fresh air of Jackson Merrill's like, it's just more than I need. He probably could have made a lot more. Well, I don't know. At this point, probably feeling like a good spot.
Aaron, the argument is that it's not that $2 to $3 million isn't massive. It's massive to us.
It's massive to me. Oh, yeah, right. Exactly.
It's massive to us. But when you're making $40 million a year, $3 million isn't much. It's not that much anymore. It doesn't change your life. It doesn't change your lifestyle dramatically the way it would for us.
Right. For us, it would be, would you leave for an extra like $2 an hour?
No.
Maybe $1 an hour?
No.
Maybe like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like it respectively, it's like when you compare it to whatever it is here, I'd have to do the math. But when you hear it in like our terms, it would be like, probably not. Probably not worth it. Roster moves. Somebody just hit a home run over the weekends, joining the Padres. Coming back to the Padres. A lot to break down with the latest roster moves that the Padres just made. A lot of players moving up, moving down, going on the IL, coming off the IL. We will get to that when we come back. What's up, guys? It's Braden Surprenant. The world's biggest soccer tournament is heating up in the United States. On Couch, you can trade every match from the... All right. Got the math done on this. 125 on a Monday. We're going to get to the roster moves in a second. But, like, the question was, whether or not. And I'm not saying he will. I'm not saying he won't. It's still a long way away. But when we were talking about could you potentially give Walker Buehler a contract extension, you have to look at whether or not other players are coming back. And you don't know about anybody besides Joe Musgrove, who's under contract for one more year, Randy Vásquez, who's still in pre-arbitration, and JP Sears, who starts arbitration next year. That's it. That's all the guys that that are coming back. I guess Johnny Brito's on that list too, but everybody else is a free agent or has opt-outs. And Michael King has a player option if he wanted to take it, $28 million. I don't know how much more over $28 million somebody might be willing to pay for Michael King after this year and with everything he's got. So if it's like $2 or $3 more million a year, what would your take home be? Well, based on taxes and everything, if Michael King signed with a team like the Miami Marlins or Tampa Bay Rays or the Texas Rangers or Houston Astros or the Los Oklahoma A's in Nevada, he would get to keep $1.2 million of his $2 million that he got. If it's $3 million, he would take home $1.82 million. That would be the difference for him. If he signed with any team in California, or he signed with the Yankees or the Mets in New York, or he signed with Chicago Cubs or the Chicago White Sox, where they have these high state income taxes, he would get $960,000 take-home increase in California out of the $2 million. If it was $3 million, he'd get $1.44 million, which is not that significant for people that are making that kind of money. If you were making $80,000 and you got the same increase, which would be about like $2,000. If you went to a state that was, low income tax, no income tax, Florida, Texas, Nevada, you would get a $2,000 raise. You would take home $1,500 of it. In California, you would take home $1,400 of it. New York, you take home $1,440. Same thing as if it was $3,000 raise. Like, would you move everything you were doing for like $2,100?
No,
I wouldn't. So the whole you're always going to take more money. Sometimes you're not, based on the extra. It's nice, but I just don't think Michael King was going to do something like that. Maybe he would. I mean, maybe these guys do that. Maybe it's for and that's not. By the way, Frank, that's not even including the 10% that you have to give the agents. On top of that, I mean, that might change things even more. So I don't think he would have, to me, it would make it for him to leave, it would probably have to be something pretty significant.
Yeah, no, it would have to be something in the mid 30s, I would think, is something that he would leave. And with the way he's pitched this year, he's not going to get it. The only reason why you would come off of a bad season or an average season for any other ball player and not buy into a player option is because you really just do not like where you're playing. That's kind of where I've fallen on whether or not why Bregman took his option is just he wanted to get out of Boston. With the way Michael King has pitched this year, and with what he has said about San Diego and how he's settled his family here and starting a family and this, that, and the other, I don't see him leaving. I don't see him not taking that player option based off of how he's pitched this year.
Right. And then again, the state taxes are based on where you play, which account for it matters because 81 of those games would be in the state that you're in. And then if you're in that division, then there's going to be even more games in that state, right? The Padres players have to pay, California taxes every time they play at Petco, play against the Dodgers, play against the Angels on the road, play against the Giants on the road, play against the A's on the road for this time being. I mean, that's a lot.
$2 to $3 million straight up. That's how it was worded.
No, it wasn't.
You have to take real life factors into account. Your scenario of getting a $3 million raise. You're making $30 million a year. Family, a wife, 2 kids. You're in Detroit. You get an offer to go somewhere else. To me, $3 million at that point, if I'm doing something like this, $3 million is not worth the hassle of packing up a house, trying to find another one, trying to find a good neighborhood with a good school for the kids, dealing with a new DMV and doing all of that other stuff, getting cable, getting internet, getting everything all set back up again, registering cars, buying new ones, selling old ones. That's not worth the hassle for me.
It's not. Yeah. And here's the other thing too. I don't think all athletes are greedy.
And those are all things that you have to take into account when you make a decision like that.
Even greedy people don't want to do that. But if you then you account for the 5% of the agent fee. I mean, there's all these other fees you have to pay, these other things that you have to put in there. You know, you're going home with like an extra $900,000
union fee,
right? Like, how much more is that really going to impact? It's not going to impact. It's just too much work.
You're assuming that every single player is just in it for the money and the money alone. That's not the case. Not every single player is looking to get every single dollar that they can get. There are players out there who play for less than what they're worth for the love of the game. For the willingness to compete on a yearly basis. It's not just, this guy's looking for, they're professional athletes. They're looking for as much money as possible. It's not it.
Yeah, I'd only say Juan Soto's maybe that guy. There are some of those guys out there.
Oh, there definitely are.
But Michael King doesn't strike me as.
No, he does not strike me as guy who.
Correct.
The union says that. Okay, the union's looking for more dues. That's what the union wants.
Yeah, like, am I going to sacrifice everything for a union that doesn't really sacrifice everything for me and I have to move because the union tells me I have to move?
No,
they're not going to do that either. All right, let's get to the roster moves today. I think a lot of people have seen them. Start to circle. Jake Cronenworth is back. Jake Cronenworth is back with the Padres. The Padres have reinstated Jake Cronenworth from the 7-day injured list. They have recalled Bradley Rodriguez from AA San Antonio. They have placed David Morgan on the 15-day injured list with left knee inflammation, retroactive to June 28th, which is yesterday. And they have optioned Will Wagner back to AAA El Paso. Interesting. Jake Cronenworth's back. His rehab assignment was pretty quick. What do you play, 2 games?
Yeah.
Hit a home run. They're like, yep, all right, cool, you're good. You feel good? Let's go. Let's get you back up here.
Especially playing in El Paso, too. Higher altitude.
Right.
That would probably speed up the process a little bit. It's artificial speeding of the process.
Hopefully he can come back and give you something.
I'm surprised that it's not not Sungmoon Song that went down.
Yeah, Wagner been putting together a lot better at bats.
And Song,
and I know he made the error the other day, but still.
Song has made a couple of very interesting decisions defensively as well, coupled with not really hitting. I thought that he probably should have been the one to go down to be able to play every single day in AAA.
I know. It's that's the other interesting part of it. Unless they're waiting for somebody else on that particular deal. Maybe that's the camp. No, because you're going to send Rodolfo Duran down when Camposano comes back. Mm-hmm. Unless I'm blanking on anybody else that's hurt. But I do find that interesting that they decided to do that.
I mean, you're not going to send any of the outfielders down at this moment. Who is hurt for that matter? The Cubbies do have a lineup out.
The Cubs have the lineup out. The Padres don't. I'm not surprised the Padres don't have a lineup out yet because they had to get the roster move in first. Yeah. So we'll see what they have roster move wise. We're going to preview Padres and Cubs when we come back. But Jake Cronenworth back, activated. We'll see if he's in the lineup today. I would imagine he probably is if he's going to be in the lineup. If you want to join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Padres and Cubs coming up at 5:05. Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 4:05. Braden Surprenant show. Final segment when we come back. 97 through the Fan. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. All right. Got a lot to get to still here on the Braden Surprenant Show. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We didn't have time to get to today. We didn't do the sports thread today. We didn't have time to get to our midday sports standoff. If you could take me down in trivia this week and for the rest of this month,
Which means less work for me.
which is basically just tomorrow, you'd be qualified for a chance at our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Town & Country Resort, a $250 food and beverage credit. Work on your resting vacation face this summer at Town & Country Resort. 3 pools and a 4-story water slide named Twister make Town & Country a family favorite. Rates start at $199 per night exclusively for fan listeners. Visit towncountry.com/thefan to book now. All right. So we got the Cubs for the next 3 days. And again, as I mentioned before, this is a pretty important series for the Padres. Now, they have already lost the season series to both St. Louis and Philadelphia. And unless Philly catches Atlanta, that's bad news. But you know what? Atlanta's not necessarily playing that great right now. The next team that they have to deal with in the wild card are the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs are a little beat up right now. They're missing most of their starting rotation. Unfortunately for the Padres, they get to see the 2 better arms in this rotation in the next couple of days. But this is a team in the Cubs that have been so up and down all year long. All year long. I mean, they have had instances of... They have had, 2 10-game winning streaks and a 10-game losing streak? I mean, this has been pretty remarkable to watch this team. And they've been a lot different since they played the Padres earlier this season. But as we mentioned before, this particular series is way more important than what happened over the weekend. So let's talk about today's game. Let's talk about the Padres and the Cubs. Can the Padres build some momentum against the Cubs, who is a playoff contender as of right now? They head to Chicago for a 3-game series against the Cubs, with both teams fighting for playoff positioning, but trending in very different ways. Padres enter 43-39, sitting second in the National League West, but 10 games behind the division-leading Dodgers and just a half game out of the final NL wildcard spot. Padres finished a challenging homestand 4-2 against Atlanta and LA, but dropping 2-3 to the Dodgers kept them from gaining ground against LA. Chicago comes in at 46-38. They're riding a hot stretch. Cubs have won 8 of the last 10 and have climbed into second in the National League wildcard spot, while sitting just 5.5 games behind Milwaukee in the National League Central. The teams are very familiar with each other. Obviously, Chicago took 2-3 at Petco Park earlier this season, and the Cubs had ended the San Diego Padres postseason run last year in an NL wildcard series in Chicago, where they took 2 out of 3 there. They also took 2 out of 3 in Chicago early in the season last year. Big storyline, of course, Jake Cronenworth's back. Padres are getting a major piece back. Jake Cronenworth has been activated from the injured list after missing time with a concussion. On his rehab Friday, he homered in his first rehab at bat. He played 7 innings at second base. Saturday was 1 for 4 as a DH. Sunday played 9 innings in the field, seeing time at shortstop and first base. That's interesting. Before the injury, Cronenworth was struggling, hitting 144 with a 272 on base percentage, 196 slug, 32 games played. Padres are betting that getting him healthy can stabilize the middle infield and deepen an offense that has struggled to consistently produce. He does live in Chicago, Frank. Maybe it's going to make him feel at home a little bit more. Maybe, he's not from Chicago. He's from Michigan, but that's where he lives now during the offseason. What should we expect from Jake Cronenworth coming off of this injury after he was not doing well before he got hurt? Obviously, in his rehab, he had a home run on Friday. Went 1 for 4 on Saturday, played around in a couple of different spots over the weekend, played good defensively, but he's not going to be asked to come in and be a savior. Hopefully he can help solidify this order for the Padres, which we haven't gotten yet. But I don't think he's expected to come out here and go 3 for 4 tonight.
No, your expectation for Jake Cronenworth tonight should be don't be a detriment to the lineup like you were when you were playing before. That's really the only thing you can expect out of Jake Cronenworth tonight. That is what you should be hoping for out of him. Anything he does that is not striking out 4 times, grounding into 2 double plays, anything that's not that is a win.
I think so too. Maybe he provides a little bit of a spark getting back there in the lineup. I'm sure the guys are probably happy to see him back in the lineup. Obviously, see him be able to play again after what was a scary rehab process for him. I know coming off of an injury of that magnitude of a concussion, of accidentally playing with a concussion for a couple of weeks. So that's going to be an interesting storyline to watch in tonight's game at 5:00. Tonight's matchup is Griffin Canning and Shota Imanaga. I don't necessarily need to read the stats of Griffin Canning this year. We all know what they are. They're not very good. He has been a major concern for the Padres. He has struggled badly this season. We talked about the ERA. We talked about the record, but his opponent OPS is 846. Career worst numbers if the season ended today. If the season ended today, it would be every single one of his statistical categories would be like the worst in his career. Recent outings, June 17th against the Cardinals, allowed 1 run over 4 1/3 innings. Seems a little bit better, but it was in the bulk relief as he had an opener. June 24th against Atlanta, 4 runs while recording only 2 outs. Canning has faced the Cubs twice, 4.35 ERA in his career against them, 10 1/3 innings. Padres likely need him to give length because their bullpen has carried a heavy workload. That's kind of a tough matchup for you to do that. Right? This guy went 2/3 of an inning last time. It can't possibly be worse.
Don't put that into the ether. I know you're knocking on wood. It
can't possibly be worse.
Let's not put that into the ether.
Oh man, you know what? He doesn't have an opener this time. Maybe that will change things. Shota Imanaga. He's done okay. He hasn't been very good either. He's 5-6 with a 4.40 ERA. He remains one of Chicago's most difficult matchups for people, especially the Padres. His career numbers against San Diego: 3 starts, 1.40 ERA, 19 1/3 innings, 19 strikeouts, 4 walks.
Oh, Griffin Canning's a fly ball pitcher, is it not?
Yeah. Isn't the wind? No. Isn't it blowing out today?
Yeah, it is.
Oh boy.
Thank you to Bob Scanlon for the wind report. Flags are blowing out.
It doesn't really do that a lot, does it?
We
got one of those days. You're not going to like my bold prediction then in about 3 minutes.
Ruh-roh spaghetti-o.
Tuesday, the Padres will send out JP Sears. He's 1-0 with a 3.18 ERA. Made his season debut. Obviously, after made his Padres debut and it looked pretty well. Looked pretty good in his debut. 5 shutout innings, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, led a 2-run homer in the 6th. He had struggled badly in AAA before the call-up. 7.92 ERA in 14 starts. The strikeout to walk, though, was good for JP Sears, and that's what matters. Matthew Boyd, 2-1 with a 5.02 ERA. He's coming back from a torn meniscus. It's his first start back, was 4 2/3 shutout innings against the Mets. How good did he look, Frank? Or does it matter because it's against the Mets?
I don't know.
Wasn't your week to watch the Mets? That might be the first time you've ever said that.
Why? That was the 4th game, was it not? The last game of the Mets series he threw?
I guess. I don't know.
Why would I watch the New York Metropolitans
after the first 3 of that series?
After that doubleheader where they lost by a combined score of 20-8 and had 6 errors in game 2 alone. Why would I watch them the next day?
I don't know. Did you see the party Mr. Met was throwing behind the reporter after they got rid of Mendoza?
It's hard to have not seen it.
The amount of deflated Mr. Met inflatables out there is hilarious to me. That stuff happens to the Mets all the time. You never see that happen to anybody else, though.
Because no one else is dumb enough to put inflatables of their mascot outside the stadium on a windy day.
Padres have done pretty decent against Boyd, though. He allowed 5 runs in 4 innings against the Padres earlier this season. Wednesday, you got Walker Buehler going against Colin Ray, former Padre Colin Ray. Offensive players to watch, obviously. Fernando, he's starting to trend in the right direction. 21-game on-base streak, 831 OPS in June, team leader in June production, current season leaders in OPS and steals. The unfortunate thing is he leads in OPS out of qualifying hitters with a 713 OPS. That should probably be a little higher. Manny Machado starting to heat up. 5 home runs in June.
Yay.
762 OPS this month. 15 home runs, 44 RBIs on the year. Luis Camposano, by the way, is scheduled to start a rehab assignment this week in AAA El Paso.
There you go.
Gavin Sheets, team best 766 OPS, 13 home runs, 35 RBIs. Someone else to watch for. Pete Crow Armstrong has been their biggest threat in the lineup. He's got a 12-12 OPS in the month of June with 10 home runs on the season, 17 long balls, 45 RBIs, 20 steals. He destroyed the Mets last week. I wonder why.
So Dansby Swanson.
Yeah. Dansby's been terrible all year, but all it took was the Mets.
Brother had 15 RBIs in 36 hours.
That gives him a total of 46 on the year.
That's cool.
Suzuki, 5 home runs in June, 937 OPS this month, 12 home runs on the season. Padres have the advantage of the bullpen. They usually do. Mason Miller, 21 for 21 on saves, 0.79 ERA. Jason Adam has 17 holds. Adrian Morejon has 14. Chicago has struggled more with pitching depth. Rotation ERA, 24th in Major League Baseball, the 4.54. Bullpen ERA is 12th with a 3.84. Sounds like the Padres can start getting up some runs. Maybe. All right, bold prediction for the night.
Padres hit 3 home runs tonight.
I was going to do home runs. Padres hit a home run in the first inning and relinquished the lead in the bottom half of the first inning. It might be a home run derby tonight.
Way to be a fan.
Yeah. Way to be. You know what? I'm just bold predictions. Padres still win, though. How about that?
Yeah, I would say.
Friar Faithful in the YouTube chats go Manny, Tatis, and Sheets hitting home runs.
Calling shots.
Yeah. Wow. That's even more. I didn't say they would lose. I just said that might be what the deal is. The first inning. I don't know. It can't possibly be worse for Griffin Canning than last start, right? Like, it can't.
See, you say that.
You think he's going to go a third of an inning? They can't. He won't, because they'll have to have him pitch. You know what I don't want to see? I don't want to see the Kyle Hart incident at Wrigley Field in 2025.
They got a fresh
arm. That's what I don't want to see.
They got a fresh arm at Bradley Rodriguez.
Oh, boy. Well, these are two very important games for the Padres if they want to finish 500 in the month of June. We'll see how that goes when we come back tomorrow. 5:05 first pitch. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 4:05. Gwen and Chris coming up back next. Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Sports Station 97 to the Fan.